Are you ready to unleash your creative razzle-dazzle? Then join the Canary Cry new stock producers and make some refrigerator art for the show. Show your support with your talent at canarycry.party. Your mom will thank you.
Yo, you curious about blockchain technology? Your boys Basil and Gons at CCNT have gone full crypto bro. Tune in to your favorite Sigma males and discover the world of blah blah blockchain. Don't miss out, fam. Join the ride and level up your crypto game.
Investing in cryptocurrency involves significant risk and can result in substantial or complete loss of funds. The information provided by CCNT, Basil and Gons is for educational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. Always conduct your own research and consult with a professional financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Razzle Dazzle, it's Body by Basil, the new exciting fitness craze that will get you Canary Cry swole in no time at all. Just listen to these quotes from our participants. My muscles are huge. It's all or Nephilim. You'll be an apocalypse warlord in no time. Don't wait. Order today and save 33% for just 4 easy payments of only $33.33. You too can have the body of a googly eye, VR headset wearing Nephilim warlord.
A new, raw deconstruction of news and analysis. Introducing Canary Cry New Stalk, the new intense fragrance made specifically for thinking outside the cage. From your favorite podcasters, Basil and Gons.
Gons, can you hear me? I'm hearing reports about a prototype Flippy arm.
Don't tell me. Flippy is coming for our jobs.
That's right. You know what this means.
Yeah, it's wake-up time. Think outside the cage.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Hope you're having an awesome Monday. You're trickling in right now. Appreciate you. Basil is still on his trip. We tried to connect before the show today, but his connection is absolutely terrible. Whatever hotel he's staying at, the hotel told him, you know, they greased him up. They're like, hey, we've got all new stuff, all the new bells and whistles for internet. You'll be fine. You'll have no problem with internet. And still, as soon as we connected, he started sounding like a giggly robot, and communication was breaking down, and so forth. So we have we'll get to it. We have a recorded Basil report, which is not the best way to do things, but it is the way that we have to do things today. And then the rest of the time, you just get me rambling once again. Go to your phone. Or if you're not on your phone, go to your phone and text the word canary to 877-720-3226. And you will be put on the Canary Cry text message list. We got a couple messages. You can message back. Of course, we won't reply. But let's see. Is there anybody who messaged us back today so far? Somebody messaged us back. Looking forward to some sweet Team Canary Cry blues talk. Yeah, it is pretty bluesy right now, the way things are going. Let's see who else. Uh-oh, can you guys still hear me? I hope you guys can still hear me. A little shenanigans going on. Alright. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. Okay, what other messages are we getting in the inbox? Let's see. Somebody said, in that day, the heir to David's throne will be a banner of salvation to all the world. The nations will rally to him, and the land where he lives will be a glorious place. He will raise a flag among the nations and assemble the exiles of Israel. He will gather the scattered people of Judah from the ends of the earth. Yes, sir. That is true. That is Isaiah 11, 10, and 12. So thank you for that. Who else? Oh, these are older now from last episode. Love y'all. Hope y'all doing okay. Update everything in new show? Hope it's soon? Question mark? Yeah, you know, that's kind of the beauty of our show is we keep things mysterious. We know as much as the audience knows, which is nothing. We don't know when, if we're going to be back. Like, every episode is a blessing to us because it's like, hey, we may not have another episode. And it's been like that for 780 some odd episodes now. So, all right, we're going to get the show started. We'll get into all the stuff and see you on the other side of the intro.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. It is October 14th. 2024, episode number 782, ECON 666. Yeah. My name is Gonz. Basil is not here. We'll hear from him in a moment, though. My name is Gonz, director of the Age of Deceit films, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, live to tape from the land of New Scum, which is, by the way, I've been saying for a while, it's turning red, folks. People didn't believe me, but I think people are starting to see it. To bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events and today's emergent phenomenon, it's all about money. Everything's about money, 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 money. And of course, we have the scriptures that tell us that it's the love of money that is the root of all kinds of evil. Not money itself. Money itself is just a tool. It's the love of money that can cloud your judgment, cloud your mind. And we're living through a lot of that right now. We're living through the apocalypse of the corruption behind the monetary system. More people are learning about it. And the transition is real. Transmoneyism, folks. It's definitely taking place. Now, as you notice, Basil is not here today. Once again, he is on his travels. I believe this is the last week of his absence, which is... I can't remember. It feels longer than last year's, but I don't remember. Someone's got to look that up. But we did connect on the line here right before me going live, and it just wasn't going to work. The hotel internet, wherever he's staying at, not good. And they promised him. Of course, they greased him up. They told him, hey, Basil apparently went to them and said, hey, I'm doing a podcast. I need a solid connection. And they said, yeah, no problem. We changed up the whole infrastructure of the internet of this hotel. Everything's brand new. It's going to be great. And then, of course, 30 seconds into the call, he starts eat bloop, bloop, blop, bloop. And the wheel of death, where his screen is just a spiraling circle into the black abyss. So we decided immediately to not try to sludge through that. Instead, just record himself. He said he's going to record himself. Covering a story, which we'll get to in just a moment here, which he took a half hour to cover the story, which, it's about right. It's about right for a Basil rant. He had to get it off his chest, and we're just going to let him go. We're going to let him go for a half hour, and then I'll go for like an hour after that. So you get the whole ranty rants from both of us today. And yeah, so he recorded a message. He sent it. We're ready to go with that. Again, it's a little bit of a different format. We're experimenting somewhat with the format. And, thanking producers. We'll thank all the producers properly when everybody is back into their saddles. Right now, Basil, again, traveling through Europe. I believe is in a particular part of that part of the world, allegedly. I don't know. There's claims of time dilation when it comes to being on that part of the world and comparing it to where I am anyway. Everything time dilates from each one of us, So anyway, let me do a quick disclaimer. We're back on YouTube, by the way. So if you're watching on YouTube, welcome back. We were banned from the last, for I guess like a week or two for, I believe it was medical misinformation that I did not share. I don't know which medical misinformation it was. Still looking for the exact answers, but we are able to live stream again on YouTube for now, which more and more it just seems like man, who's on YouTube anymore? I think people are really moving along, going to different things. And not that it's so much better, right? And we've talked about how Rumble, you look at the owners of the stock, the biggest stock owners of the Rumble platform, which, we're grateful for Rumble to be somewhat of an alternative to YouTube. But yeah, it's BlackRock, it's State Street, it's all the big Wall Street guys, and maybe one of the biggest asset managers in the world, BlackRock, who owns a big chunk of Rumble stock. So, while we, we champion free speech and everything here, it's just interesting how there are certain players behind even the biggest conservative or right-leaning platforms now. It's sort of infiltrated into this techno-conservatism, techno-populism, which maybe, I don't think we're the only show that takes that angle, but certainly it's one of our flagship type of pieces of content or conversation that we have is relating to the techno-populism. Not to be necessarily skeptical of it in its entirety, because ethically it's a much better system, if you will, than what we've had here up until this point, with the centralization, with a lot of the liberal and progressive ideologies seeping through. But it's just one of those cautionary things, like, okay, it's fine. We're handing over the reins, or not we, but, the liberal progressive, they're handing over the reins to the conservatives. Hey, you guys think you're better at memeing, which conservatives, yes, we are better at memeing, and better at, more ethical, which we are more ethical than most people. But in any case, it's just this handing over of the reins, and it's kind of like how Alex Jones talked about recently, the Promethean fire. We're taking the Promethean fire from the globalists, and we're going to build our own unit. It's that whole thing. So it's both good, but also a double-edged sword in that it could be very destructive when it starts to unravel, because it will at some point. And the political pendulum will swing back the other way. And when it does, the next time it swings to the left, oh boy, we're talking full transhumans. We're talking full new genders, new species of whatever's going to be happening in the next few years with genetics and transhumanism and technology and microchips and all that kind of stuff. When it swings left again and it goes hard left, it's I think it's going to just be really, really crazy. And the stuff that the Bible talks about, the days of Noah, what was going on in the days of Noah, seems like we're just repeating history here. So anyway, that being said, let me play for you a disclaimer, since we are back on YouTube, and just for the purposes of disclaiming ourselves, and then we'll dig in.
It's time for a disclaimer.
Now listen up, YouTube. That's right. And just for all the content moderators and censorship managers out there, be they robots or humans, everything you hear on this show comes directly from the mainstream corporate news media. We do not claim to be experts on healthcare, geopolitics, military strategy, corporate law, or the moral and ethical implications of any of these topics, nor do we implicitly or explicitly support or subscribe to any sources or narratives containing misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation, as defined by the Department of Homeland Security. We're good boys. All right, YouTube, we're good boys.
But YouTube does not think so. YouTube thinks that I don't share facts. Or if I share opinions, they're the wrong opinions. And so it's too bad. It's too bad. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I am going to simply play Basil's rant. I have not heard it because obviously, he just recorded this. It's 30 minutes. I'll see you on the other side of the half hour. I might stop it along the way. Maybe. We'll see. It depends on how this all plays out. But he's going to be talking about a few different things here based on FEMA, based on the censorship, and let's simply get into it. I'll just call it Beast System for now.
Speaking of the Beast System, Beast System.
Hey everybody, your best buddy Basil here. Look, this is not the best way to do it. Not the best way to do it, but we're doing it. We got to do it this way. We are trying to put the show together, and it wasn't working. It wasn't going to work. It was going to be worse. It was going to be worse than ever. So we're doing it this way, trying it this way. And this is your best buddy Basil, live to tape to you. Live, I am alive, to tape, and this tape I send to you out here on the fringes, the edges of the universe, bringing you the news from the Earth realm, the plane of reality in which you reside now. But I'm hooked in. Paying attention, folks. Some incredible things happening back at home. I miss it dearly. I miss what we commonly understand to be America and Earth C-137. My favorite version of Earth, and I will be back soon. But until then, I have this. I am going to bring you this story there. I mean, that works. I'm going to bring you this story there, where you are. Here it is. Interesting, before I jump into that, this was a story that I grabbed, held on to tightly, waiting for my moment to be able to bring it and broadcast it to you. And then after going back, trying to recover said story, I was not surprised to see that they had updated the story, changed it, and forced me to go back in time to use archive.org, the Wayback Machine, a wonderful tool that myself and those like me use to keep the media accountable for the things they need to be accountable for. And so I go back to this original article. It's gone. Headline is different. Details are different. And the new details certainly are embarrassing for whoever wrote the first version of the story. But it did lead us to this other story, and that is that archive.org has suffered an attack. This is coming from TheVerge.com. The headline is, "The Internet Archive is back as a read-only service after cyber attacks." The Internet Archive is back online in a read-only state after a cyber attack brought down the digital library and Wayback Machine last week. A data breach and DDoS attack kicked the site offline on October 9th, with the user authentication database containing 31 million unique records also stolen in recent weeks. Great. Wonderful. Love it. It's a little odd because I used archive.org for the previous episode, which was on the 9th. Okay. So apparently, right after I used it last time, it got hacked. And don't worry, user authentication database hack, not a concern. The Internet Archive is now back online with a provisional read-only manner, according to co-founder Brewster Kahle. Quote, "Safe to resume, but might need further maintenance, in which case it will be suspended again. While you can access the Wayback Machine to search 916 billion web pages that have been archived over time, you can't currently capture an existing web page into the archive." Kahle and team have gradually been restoring archive.org services in recent days, including bringing back the team's email accounts. Oh no! And its crawlers for national libraries. Okay, a lot of stuff going on over there. Services have been offline so that the Internet Archive can examine and strengthen them against future attacks. Let's go, boys! You must protect the Internet Archive at all costs. Like I said, this is a tool that I use, Gons uses, and other, media people trying to keep the mainstream media accountable. This is for a lot of good reasons. They often, like we'll see in a second, will change things quietly about an article. They'll change headlines. They'll, for instance, they might put out misinformation, or they might exercise their right as American news agencies to just kind of write whatever they want, to get the immediate public reaction, to get the ideas out there into the zeitgeist, and then go back and change it as to not have to be accountable for putting certain ideas out there or adding to the frenetic mosh pit that is information online. The article winds up here. It says, a pop-up from a purported hacker claimed the archive had suffered a catastrophic security breach last week. Before Have I Been Pwned, that's all caps. That must be the name of, I don't know, a hacker group maybe? Or perhaps I don't know. Let's find out. Before Have I Been Pwned, confirmed data was stolen. The theft included email addresses, screen names, hashed passwords, and other internal data for 31 million unique email accounts. Email accounts. Oh, yeah, okay, I see. The Internet Archive outage came just weeks after Google started adding links to archived websites in the Wayback Machine. Interesting. Google started messing with archived web pages. That's a little strange, don't you think? I'm going to click that. We'll see that in a second. Google removed its own cached pages links earlier this year, so having the Wayback Machine linked in Google search results is a useful way to access older versions of websites or archived pages. Okay, let's see what this is real quick. Google search will take you way back with links to the Internet Archive. Okay, that's very interesting. A little detail they're adding there. I'll look more into that here. But who would benefit? Why would anybody want to put the Internet Archive at risk? Like I said, I don't know. Who could benefit? Just pontificating, just letting my brain do what brains do. Perhaps the mainstream media would benefit from sabotaging the Internet Archive. Perhaps some sort of intelligence agency would like to have and know the user information for a website that is used to keep mainstream media accountable. Currently, we are unable to archive new web pages, which means since Wednesday, the 9th of October, nobody has been able to store news information, headlines, articles for further review into the future. Nobody can look back and see what they've changed. Nobody can look back and see what they don't want us to see. It's very strange. And here's an example of that coming from CNN.com. Luckily, I was able to pull this up at archive.today, archive.ph, if anybody's interested. The headline, some FEMA operations paused in North Carolina after reports National Guard troops saw armed militia threatening them. This is a big deal. Armed militia threatening FEMA. Now we can imagine this. It seems like sort of a page from the new Civil War movie came out last year or this year or whenever it came out. I don't remember. Time is an illusion. But you know the image of armed North Carolinian militia threatening FEMA as FEMA alleges to come want to help is a vivid one. It's very vivid, and this information is coming from the National Guard. So strange. Let's see what's going on here. Aid to several communities impacted by Hurricane Helene was temporarily paused. Oh, the aid was paused. Oh, the aid was paused in parts of North Carolina over the weekend due to reports of threats against Federal Emergency Management Agency responders amid a backdrop of misinformation about responses to recent storms. It's all about the misinformation, folks. It's almost a new currency. You know, it used to be follow the money, and you'll get to the heart of the thing. Follow the misinformation, and you'll figure out what's going on here. Some FEMA teams helping disaster survivors apply for assistance in rural North Carolina are currently working at secure disaster recovery centers in counties where federal workers are receiving threats. Okay, so let's follow this because it's a little topsy-turvy. The FEMA teams are allegedly helping people apply for assistance. They're desk jockeys. They're helping people fill out papers for, I don't know, perhaps the SBA loan that you got to put up collateral for. But it's not through FEMA. It's through the Small Business Administration loan. Let's get all these disaster survivors on the loan program taking some loans as their recompense for surviving a disaster. I don't know. I'm sure a disaster loan could help a lot of people in a lot of situations. But they vehemently were trying to deny that there were no loans involved, that nobody was being given money as a loan by FEMA. And of course, that's the trick. We know it wasn't from FEMA. It's from the Small Business Administration loan. It's just these FEMA teams. It's the FEMA helpers who are coming by, helping people get these loans. It's topsy-turvy, folks. Listen to the last episode if you want a ranting screed about what I think about that. Let's go back here. Some FEMA teams helping disaster survivors apply for assistance in rural North Carolina are currently working at secure disaster recovery centers in counties where federal workers are receiving threats. So they're not even talking about the FEMA teams in those recovery centers, just that there are FEMA teams in recovery centers in the counties where federal workers are receiving threats, a FEMA spokesperson told CNN on Monday. It's tricky. It's a tricky sentence, but you see what's going on here. Quote, "For the safety of our dedicated staff and the disaster survivors we are helping, FEMA has made some operational adjustments," the spokesperson said in a statement. Quote, "Disaster recovery centers will continue to be open as scheduled. Survivors continue to register for assistance, and we continue to help the people of North Carolina with their recovery." Okay, what is the operational adjustments? On Saturday, FEMA workers had to halt their work in Rutherford County due to reports that National Guard troops saw armed militia threatening the workers, according to the Washington Post, which cited an email to federal agencies helping the response, verified by unnamed federal officials. Why would you not name the federal officials? Why can you not give us a source for the information about armed militias threatening that National Guard troops saw threatening FEMA workers? It's very bizarre. It's not clear if the threat was credible, the article says. That's why they did not name the federal official who is giving us this information. It is unclear if the threat was credible. Okay. Rutherford County is southeast of the hard-hit Asheville area, or Asheville, I hear, and part of the mountainous region that was slammed by deadly flooding and landslides as Helene carved a path of destruction through the southeast after making landfall in Florida last month. More than 100 people were killed in North Carolina, and thousands of others were left grappling with catastrophic damage. Some FEMA operations were also paused on Sunday in Ashe County, near the borders of Tennessee and Virginia, out of an abundance of caution. Sheriff B. Phil Howell said on Facebook, this included in-person applications for aid. In-person applications for aid in at least 2 locations, due to threats occurring in some counties. It's not even the same county. They shut down. I mean, it sounds like if this militia was trying to stop FEMA from signing people up for a loan that could potentially put their assets at risk, it sounds like it worked. I'm not speaking in favor or out of favor of this. These are just the facts. If an armed militia was trying to keep FEMA workers from signing people up for loans, it sounds like it worked. According to the county's emergency management office, those locations reopened Monday, the sheriff and emergency management office announced. Howell urged residents to, quote, stay calm and steady during our recovery. Help folks and please don't stir the pot. FEMA continues to assess potential threats to its staff in impacted areas. The agency is coordinating with local officials on the safety of its employees and will make future adjustments needed, the spokesperson said. There were more than 1,200 FEMA staff providing support in North Carolina as of Saturday. According to an update from the agency, more than 250 urban search and rescue personnel remained in the field and had rescued or supported more than 3,200 survivors, the update said. Rescued or supported. Huh. Interesting. Interesting combo there. Rescued or supported. Well, does signing people up for loans counts as supported? If they're at these recovery centers, helping people sign up, put some assets on collateral, does that count as supported? I wonder how many were rescued. I would love that information. It's too bad CNN is not giving us that information. Misinformation, unlike anything we've seen before. And here it is, folks. Now, I'm not going to read you this part, but I will say they're blaming it on misinformation. I'm going to pop over to the new version of the article. That was the original version of the article, stating that an armed militia allegedly had been seen. It was not clear if the threat was credible, but this all comes from an unnamed federal official as the source. Not a lot of details. But boy, an armed militia single-handedly stopping the federal government from coming in and helping disasters. We need more information. Well, luckily there's an update. Here's the new headline. Not a different headline. The same the same article with an updated headline and some more. Remember the old headline: some FEMA operations paused in North Carolina after reports National Guard troops saw armed militia threatening them. New headline: suspect arrested after reports of threats toward FEMA operations in North Carolina. Okay, suspect, singular suspect. Let's see what it is. A North Carolina man was arrested over the weekend for allegedly threatening harm against FEMA employees responding to Hurricane Helene, according to Rutherford County Sheriff's Office. William Jacob Parsons, 44, was arrested and charged with going armed to the terror of the public. Going armed to the terror of the public is the charge. A misdemeanor. Look, a misdemeanor, that's the lowest level of crime that can be done. Going armed to the terror of the public. It's a scary name for a misdemeanor. It's very interesting. Captain Jamie Keever said in a news release issued Monday, quote, Parsons was armed with a handgun and a rifle, Keever said. The Sheriff's Office began investigating Saturday after receiving a call that a man, quote, made the comment about possibly harming FEMA employees working after the disaster of Hurricane Helene in the Lake Lure and Chimney Rock area. Chimney Rock area, obviously one that is absolutely devastated, and lots of information being thrown around about that area in regards to lithium mines. Perhaps misinformation, perhaps malinformation, true information that makes people not trust their government. Dangerous nonetheless. Parsons was found later that day after investigators received information about the color and license plate of his vehicle, according to the Sheriff's Office. So remember, this is coming from the Sheriff's Office got a call. So it sounds like the National Guard called the Sheriff's Office. Parsons was arrested in his car outside a grocery store that is functioning as a storm relief site, Keever said. Parsons is now free on a $10,000 secured bond, the Sheriff's Office said. It was not immediately clear if Parsons had an attorney. CNN was unable to reach Parsons Monday at any of the phone numbers listed in his name. Okay, so what we know now is that a guy with a handgun and a rifle, allegedly, they did name a source this time, Interesting how they don't like to name federal sources, federal officials, won't name them. But when it's a sheriff, they will name the sheriff. Captain Jamie Kiever. Doesn't actually say. Let me get this clear. I want to get this straight. So according to the sheriff's office, they reference the sheriff's office, then they say Captain Jamie Kiever said in a news release issued Monday. It's not specific if that's the sheriff. I don't think sheriffs have captains. Does a sheriff's department have a captain? Seems like the sheriff would be the captain. This goes against what little I know about sheriff's departments. My understanding is that it's the sheriff and he has his deputies. So who is this captain? Let me find out. Let me see. Let's see what we can do here. Just do a little searchy poo. Captain James Kiever. Rutherford County Sheriff's Office. Okay. There we go. Learned something about the sheriff's office today. I think. This is his LinkedIn page. Rutherford County Sheriff's Office. Okay. Yeah. It says here, Lieutenant Criminal Investigations Division. I don't understand what's going on. Is he a captain or a lieutenant? Or a sheriff? Come on, guys. Tell me more. Tell me what I want to know. Well, there you go. Somebody out there can look into that. Now, here we go. Okay, so it was not quite an armed militia. I don't know. Maybe there was more people. Maybe they're just not telling us that this William Jacob Parsons fella wasn't alone. Or maybe somebody was just using the phrase armed militia because it sounds scary. Maybe they're just using the word over at CNN. Maybe, I don't know. I think the phrase armed militia actually came from that unnamed federal official. That's what it sounds like. All right. Well, it's this guy, William Jacob Parsons. Now, back to what's important, and that is misinformation. Keeps going. Threat caused by some FEMA offices to close. Talks about that. Sorry, let me go down. There we go. Misinformation unlike anything we've seen before. Misinformation circulating about the federal response to Hurricane Helene and Milton has hampered response efforts to the storm, CNN previously reported. President Joe Biden requested information last week on the federal government's digital response. He requested information on the federal government's Twitter account or something, digital response, including how officials were remediating misinformation, an administration official said. Again, apparently not important to name the source. Great. Quote, the contours of this misinformation are unlike anything we've seen before, a senior Biden administration official told CNN. Didn't name him. Who needs them? Who needs names of sources anymore? Fugate said individual FEMA personnel have received threats in the past, but on a much smaller scale. Okay, they're saying it's been on a smaller scale previously. Well, all we know right now is that it's one guy. So did they get threats on a smaller guy from a smaller one guy? Quote, in the field, it's rare, Fugate said. This is unprecedented. I know we've had individuals, but not an area or group that's threatening FEMA. They have not given us information on a group. They've only given us information on an individual. It even says up here, earlier in the article, in the announcement of Parsons' arrest, Kiever said, quote, it was determined Parsons acted alone, and there were no truckloads of militia going to Lake Lure. It was just a guy. Look, I'm not saying it's okay for anybody to threaten anybody. I'm not saying that. I would never say that. Nobody should threaten anybody. But CNN was making this out to be some sort of, well, armed militia, a group of people threatening FEMA across several states. But the details from named sources says that it was a guy. It was one guy. And there were no truckloads of militia going to Lake Lure. Where is this mention of truckloads of people? It sounds like they are dealing with their own misinformation. Who is saying that there's truckloads of militia? Because whoever's saying it, Captain Kiever, is saying he acted alone and there were no truckloads of militia going to Lake Lure. You see how this is much less about the facts and it's much more about the vibe? We know that the Kamala Harris campaign is all about the vibes. The Democrats in general, it's all about the vibes right now. And look, I'm not trying to make this political. I'm just saying what we're dealing with in the mainstream media has so little to do with facts anymore. It's all about vibes. CNN gave the vibe, and apparently even gave Captain Kiever of the Sheriff Department a vibe that there were apparently truckloads of militia that were threatening FEMA employees. And yet the facts say that it was a guy, and the threats were yet to be considered credible. They do have this quote here. We are aware of significant misinformation online and reports of threats to response. Well, a report of threats to response workers on the grounds, and the safety of responders must be taken seriously, said Jordan Monahan, Deputy Communications Director for Northern Carolina Governor Roy Cooper. Quote, the governor has directed the Department of Public Safety to identify with local law enforcement and specific threats and rumors and coordinate with FEMA and other partners to ensure safety and security as this recovery effort continues. Well, there you go, folks. Clear as mud. Now, what are they doing about it? What action are they taking? Well, it says here, senior U.S. officials have instructed public affairs teams at their federal agencies to ramp up social media posts. This is the response. They're ramping up social media posts from government accounts with photos illustrating how federal workers are clearing debris and dispensing aid. A U.S. official familiar with the effort said, an unnamed anonymous U.S. official. So we know that FEMA is going to the recovery centers and helping people sign up for aid, which includes SBA loans. Let's not forget that. The facts that we have been given is that they are helping people fill out forms. But the response to this very convoluted situation regarding threats is that they're going to ramp up social media posts from government accounts using photos illustrating. I don't like the word illustrating there. It has this flair of like staging photos, this flair of creativity to illustrate how federal workers are clearing debris and dispensing aid. Well, I don't know. We haven't read anything about clearing debris or dispensing aid unless you consider SBA loans dispensing aid. I'm just going off the facts. I'm just reading the words. Earlier this month, the public information officer for Rutherford County told CNN debunking the rumors, quote, did consume resources that could have been more effectively utilized in recovery efforts. It's such a burden for them to post social media posts illustrating how FEMA workers are clearing debris and dispensing aid. You know, if they just had the photos, it doesn't, like, if the photos are there, if FEMA is really clearing debris and dispensing aid in a way that the public would like to see, it doesn't seem like a lot of resources. It wouldn't take a lot of resources to just take a picture of it and post it to Twitter. But there's like this guilt trip at the end of the thing saying, the resources that we used posting on X could have been more effectively utilized in recovery efforts. Thank you. Rutherford and surrounding counties have been posting photos and information about aid efforts to combat the misinformation. Well, good job. I certainly am not a fan of misinformation, and I hope that they defeat it once and for all. There you go, folks. Something to think about. Keep your eyes open. Basil, out.
All right, there it is. The breakdown of the story here about the suspect arrested after reports of threats towards FEMA operations in North Carolina. First reported as a militia, then reported as a guy. And, this theme is, I don't know, it's the theme of this misidentification of individuals or a lack of evidence to support a headline or a claim or mainstream reporting. That's a good theme going into this next story here.
We will launch a new age. I am innocent. Innocent. They're coming after me. They love killing. They love killing.
I'm just going to read this headline from Al Jazeera, and then I have another outlet to dig into a little more. Al Jazeera, U.S. Sheriff, appropriate theme here, U.S. Sheriff says, quote, probably prevented third Trump assassination attempt. Of course they're trying to get Trump. They're trying to get him, trying to take him out. We know this. I mean, even Joe Biden is starting to defend Trump. Fox News headline, Biden warned Iran that killing Trump would be an act of war. Now, wouldn't he love it? Wouldn't Biden love it if his most hated man, Donald Trump, is taken out by Iran and he gets to start a war? Oh, double whammy at the end of his career. No, but going back to the Al Jazeera here, U.S. Sheriff says probably prevented third Trump assassination attempt. First of all, probably. Okay. All right. That's kind of weird. But also the U.S. Sheriff saying it. What did the sheriff have to say? Very interesting. Forbes had this headline. We'll dig into this one. Armed man arrested near Trump rally over concerns about third assassination attempt. Here's what we know about him. And of course, everybody is freaking out on the internet. Oh, they're trying to get him again. Of course they are. Here's what Forbes said. A man carrying loaded firearms and fake passports was arrested. Fake passports, loaded firearms, was arrested outside the security checkpoint near former President Donald Trump's weekend rally in Coachella, California, which law enforcement described as a likely, quote, third assassination attempt, end quote, against the former president. A claim the suspect, who identifies as a Trump supporter, said was false. Okay. All right. That's good. That's always good when the guy that's allegedly going to be the next Trump assassination attempt guy is a Trump supporter. Of course he'd say that to get into the thing, right? Let me just continue here. Miller, who identifies as a Trump supporter on social media, maybe I should read these bullet points. Let me read these bullet points because, they're key facts. So Forbes wants us to see these key facts. In a press conference Sunday, the Riverside County Sheriff's Office said 49-year-old Vem Miller from Nevada was taken into custody after deputies stopped his black SUV at a security checkpoint and found multiple unregistered firearms in his possession, including a shotgun and a loaded handgun and a high-capacity magazine. While searching his car, deputies also discovered multiple passports and driver's licenses with different names and found the vehicle's license plate was homemade and unregistered. Well, he is from Nevada, so, I don't know that that's the worst thing. Miller was stopped after presenting a fake VIP pass for the Trump rally to the deputy. Okay. Fake VIP pass for the Trump rally to the deputies at a checkpoint, and upon being questioned later informed them he was a member of the far-right group known as the Sovereign Citizens. Miller was hit with 2 firearm charges and released on bail on $5,000. Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco told reporters his deputies probably did prevent a, quote, third assassination attempt against Trump. And if he was going to be, quote, accused of being dramatic, we have a serious, serious problem in this country. Okay, so Miller, who identifies as a Trump supporter on social media, strongly rejected the allegations against him in an interview with the Southern California News Group, the publisher of the Los Angeles Daily News. Miller told the outlet he was, quote, shocked by his arrest and allegations that he was trying to harm Trump, saying, quote, these accusations are complete bull burp. I'm the last person that would cause any violence and harm to anybody, Miller claimed. He was a Trump caucus captain and had been invited to the rally by the head of the Clark County Republican Party. In his LinkedIn profile, Miller said he is a partner at the American Happens Network, an outlet that claims to produce news content, quote, that counters the official mainstream media narrative and brings truth to the public. Man. Early on Monday, Miller published an hour-long video on the outlet's official Rumble channel claiming everything the sheriff's office released were, quote, outright lies, and reiterated the claims from the interview. And by the way, Basil and I don't know how much Basil was listening to it, but I did sit through this, or at least part of this interview that was being shared, because guys like Kevin Sorbo, which I love Kevin Sorbo, you know, Hercules when I was growing up, Kevin Sorbo and a lot of conservatives heard the story, and of course they're going to get triggered right away. Here's Kevin Sorbo on the story. I thought the left hated guns. Why do they keep using them to try to assassinate Trump? Which, look, based on the pattern of the assassination attemptors, that would be the case. But Kevin Sorbo jumped the gun. Excuse my pun there. Was not intended, although it just happened. Because he assumed that this guy was a leftist, right? When clearly he's not. Even Forbes is saying that he claimed to be a Trump supporter. Now, of course, you can be skeptical of that. But I sat through an interview, or a part of it. Luke Rudkowski, what was his outlet? I forget his. We Are Change. That's right. He posted this. It was like a 17-minute clip of the guy. I'm not going to play it because it's kind of long-winded. He tells a story. He says, you know, he's got a real pass. He's been to Trump rallies in Nevada, and as a courtesy, he would tell the people at the checkpoint, "Hey, I got some firearms in the back." Which, you know, things are different in Nevada. I mean, if you live in Nevada, you know, right? It's a little bit different when it comes to open carry and all that kind of stuff, license to carry and whatnot. And so his thing was he was being courteous to tell the guy at the checkpoint or the sheriff or whoever it was, at a courtesy, like, "Hey, I'm here for the thing. I got the pass. I got some weapons in the back, you know, just letting you know as a courtesy, you know, type of thing." Or that's what he claims anyway. And he tells the whole story about how he's diabetic and, you know, they tortured him basically while he was stuck and couldn't go to the bathroom and needed his water with the special stuff because he's diabetic, the whole thing. So if he is to be believed, the America Happens guy here, then clearly the reporting to suggest that this was the guy that's going to attempt a third assassination, a third assassination attempt on Trump is wrong. It's just made up. It's the mainstream using the Trump assassination narrative to their benefit to win clicks and eyeballs, basically. But here's the thing that's interesting. Okay, so we go down here to the tangent. The 49-year-old, the guy who had the guns, is a registered Republican, and he ran in the GOP primary for a Nevada State Assembly seat in 2022. Okay, so he's in politics. Okay, he finished third in the primary. His LinkedIn profile suggests he began his online media outlet a few months after his election loss. Makes sense. You know, you lose the election, you use the momentum and the attention you gain to continue on social media to, you know, spread your political message. That makes sense. In an interview with the Las Vegas Review-Journal in 2022, Miller said he was running for office because, quote, "this country has been taken over by tranny," end quote, and said he will focus on alleged voter fraud if elected. On his Facebook page, Miller has posted multiple far-right conspiracy theories about COVID-19 vaccines and 9/11, and has even called for treason charges against Democrats. All of which, That's at this point in 2024, this is all tame kind of stuff. COVID-19 vaccine conspiracy. Most people are up to speed on, even if you're not someone who is anti-vax, you can agree. And I've come across this multiple times with, liberal friends or people that are left-leaning. Even they're like, it's probably a little overdone with the whole vaccine thing. And then 9/11, it's hard to find people. There are people that still don't question, or at least even question what, the official narrative of 9/11, certainly are living in a bubble of some kind and are not being presented with fairly convincing evidence to suggest that something else was going on. Not even to say we pin it on somebody or some group or whoever. Just the mere fact that the main story that they gave us isn't true. It's pretty common knowledge at this point. And then treason charges against Democrats. I mean, come on, you're in politics. You're highlighting treason charges against the other party every day. That's part of your job, right? So that's not really that surprising. Critical quote. Now, this is where I wanted to land here. This is the end of the article. Critical quote. Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco told reporters, quote, "I couldn't care less what political party he belonged to. I think that's the stupidest thing in the world, that we have to label something, and we're labeling this his politics. He was a lunatic," end quote. Now, you can judge for yourself listening to this man speak for 20 minutes and see if he is actually a lunatic, if he's telling the truth, does he have the receipts? I mean, 2 years is not a super long time to be doing something online. If you're an operative, it's definitely not that long. But it's just one of those issues where, why is he being accused by the mainstream media as the potential third assassinator of Trump or attempter, while he's out here basically saying, no, it's not true. I've been a supporter. I have my own platform. I here are the things I say. It's public. Here's what happened. Here's the story. I mean, it's just wild. And the thing, the trap, really, I think the trap that was set is one that guys like Kevin Sorbo just bit into. He said, "Oh, the left hated guns. I thought the left hated guns. Why do they keep using them to try to assassinate Trump? The leftists are crazy. They're trying to kill Trump." But in reality, it's one of their own being mischaracterized by the mainstream so that I guess the conservative side or the right will maybe eat their own or, cause their own, because now the focus isn't on what the Democrats are doing or what's going on with the elections. It's more so with, chaos from within, chaos from the family of the right wing, the Republicans. We are all for Trump, but now there's quarrels within. It's a good way to create division and quarrel, really, within a party that is pretty unified on the Trump front when it comes to this election. So I think it's a very interesting type of psyop here that was pulled off by both the mainstream media and perhaps the sheriff, who, the guy, what's his name? I forget his name. Sorry. The Miller, Von Miller. What's his name? Von Miller, Miller, Vem Miller. That's an interesting name. Vem Miller. He claimed that, everything's on the up and up, and he's already filed for the what are they called? The cameras on the police, the chest cam. I forget what the names are, but basically the cameras that the officers have, so they can review that information and see what really happened, and see if it aligns more so with what this Miller guy claims happened from his perspective. So, because I think there are interesting layers to this, because, when you read through some of the stories, it's like, why would you tell the guy at the checkpoint that you got guns? That's really not smart. And, why would you not be paying attention enough to maybe, hey, you're going into California. I mean, it could go both ways, right? Yeah, going into California, I better load up because I don't know what I'm going to run into. But also the other side of, hey, the legal ramifications are a little bit different. out in California. And especially if you, I mean, people, look, the police officers, they're already on edge, especially in California, the officers, the sheriffs. If you've seen them around where I'm at, a lot of the time they're pretty on edge. I mean, it depends on where you are in the country or in California, especially in like the bigger city areas. Depending on, I guess, jurisdiction or whatever, they're kind of on edge. Like they already expect you to come at them with negativity and angst and whatever. So they have their guards up, at least in my experience. So I can see, you know, some guy that thinks, hey, but we gotta really protect Trump at all cost. I'm not saying that that's what this guy, the sheriff, was thinking, but I could imagine that, hey, that's the protocol. We don't want anything to happen. We're on high alert. And this guy is just telling us that he has guns in his car. Let's pull him over. I can understand a little bit of the optics and the operative type of thing there, but beyond that, it's interesting that the mainstream media would then take this story and label it third assassination attempt, using those words because they know it gets clicks. They know it gets clicks, and also they know that this story will get the right wing all riled up. You're going to create division. You're going to find guys like, again, Mr. Ex Hercules there, mislabeling this guy as a leftist, liberal or whatever. And then those who might defend him, like, hey, you better check this out. You better dig in a little deeper because, not all is what it seems kind of thing. So just a fascinating sort of, I don't know, unfolding of events. And of course, Al Jazeera really was the one that got me going because U.S. sheriff says probably prevented third Trump assassination attempt, which is a stretch. If this guy is truly who he says he is, no, there was no third assassination attempt prevented. And so probably is even a stretch. And that's why they would even have to say probably. They're putting out a chance thing. And this is very similar to the FBI's 6-week cycle situation. If you are familiar with our show, or mainly No Agenda, who identified this several years ago as well, the FBI tend to have big headline news stories about preventing some terrorist attack or something every 6 weeks or so, just to keep, the public informed. Hey, your tax dollars are working. We're preventing crime. We're doing the thing. We're policing the streets. Whatever it is, to keep that funding, not the funding, but just the justification for the taxation of the people. Keep that going. That they put out those little fluff stories every once in a while, and this could be that. But there's also a lot of political ramifications. And just turmoil, because we're leading up to the elections. People are getting really, really riled up. So this type of story will get people going no matter where they are at in the political spectrum. So that being said, I want to continue here because part of the big shifts happening are economic. Big time economic shifts taking place here. And there's none bigger than Trump himself really leading the charge when it comes to these changes. So let me go here to Money and Crypto regarding Trump.
Is this a crypto? Crypto? Do I look like I know what a crypto is?
Money printer go boom.
All right, folks, we're on the verge. We're on the verge of the bull run of the crypto cycles, should the cycles hold. And if the cycle does hold, this next year is going to be absolutely parabolic, 2025. If you go back to 2017, when Trump became president, that first year he was in office, the crypto charts went crazy, folks. Bitcoin went from like $1,000 to $20,000 in 1 year, and then there was a huge crash back down to 3,000. But that was a big run. That was a crazy run, and based on all the indicators, all the global liquidity, all the different RSI, all of the metrics, 2017 will be repeated again in 2025, and that means we will have a big bull year. And it happens to coincide with Trump, the leading candidate, going really big on crypto. And we know about World Liberty Financial. We talked about it a few weeks ago when he announced it. Of course, Trump has been in the crypto game. He had his NFTs on the Polygon network, and now he has World Liberty Financial, which the early investors, it was accredited only, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is you have to have $2 million basically to your name in the bank, and you have to be approved. You got to be approved to invest. So these are high net, or at least, higher net worth individuals who can get in at the ground floor. Well, now that they got in at the ground floor and they got in cheap, now they're going to open World Liberty Financial out to the public. And here, CoinDesk.com has Trump-supported World Liberty Financial will start public token sale next week. This was from last week. The official launch is tomorrow. And it says World Liberty Financial, the nascent decentralized finance, that's DeFi, D-E-F-I, DeFi protocol, supported by Donald Trump and his family, announced plans to start selling tokens on Tuesday. That's tomorrow. Exactly 3 weeks before the presidential election for which Donald Trump is a Republican candidate. Quote, the public sale starts on October 15th, open to everyone who qualifies through the whitelist. So yes, you got a whitelist as well. You got to get on the whitelist. And by the way, just as a reminder, today is October 14th while I'm recording this. And the Canary Cry calendar says that 2 years ago, 2022, I coined the term eschatomics for end times economics, eschatomics. So it makes sense that 2 years to the day, I'm going to be speaking about all this weird economic crypto type of stuff, which been reporting for a while, and I said it was going to become political. Sure enough, it is, and here we are. I mean, here's Trump with his World Financial. Bettors on blockchain-based prediction market Polymarket see Donald Trump as a front-runner in the presidential election taking place November 5th. Okay, I want to touch on Polymarket for just 1 second, because I think there is a chance that as time goes on here, something like Polymarket will replace polls altogether. Right now, the polls it's just ridiculous. The polls are who knows how the polls even work anymore? I don't know how they work. They're polling, specific regions. They're not really getting a true sentiment of the people. Now, what Polymarket is, and not that Polymarket is better, because Polymarket, all it is, it's a betting website. Okay, it's a betting website built on Polygon, so it's all blockchain-based crypto betting.
Blockchain.
And the difference, though, is, they have betting on everything. And obviously, they have the 2024 presidential elections. And Trump is now winning the polling, or I guess the Polymarket polls, with 55%, I believe. And here, the difference is that this is a betting site. So people are putting money where their mouth is. Is that the phrase? I'm kind of tongue-tied on that. Putting money where their mouth is. In supporting Trump, they're putting the money down to back it up, kind of thing. And so again, I don't know that it is necessarily reflective of what's really going on, the real sentiment. But when you start talking about bets, putting money down on the outcome of the election, that type of thing, these markets are not wrong very often. You talk about a bookkeeper, you go to Vegas, you bet on some sports, you got the odds, people with the information, they're going to place the correct bets, and the line will move. The line being sort of the odds of winning something will move based on the information that the sort of arbitrators get, and the odds will move in the favor of the person they think is going to win, right? So if Trump was way behind, but they knew information that the public did not know that really showed that he's going to win, then the odds would go down for Trump winning. Your bet on Trump would be, you won't multiply your winnings as much because he was expected to win, that kind of thing. So it's fascinating to see, and I think we will see more of this type of gambling as time goes on. And, just as a side tangent, all this FSB stuff, the self-driving cars and autonomous robots and the whole Elon thing, I'm not going to do the robot stuff from We Robot last week where he had optimist walking around and having conversations with people. But I could see the thing about FSB, the self-driving cars and all that, people are going to be doing stuff on their devices on the move, right? Instead of driving. So instead of driving, they're going to be on their phones or on their device, and they're going to be gambling. They're going to be trading. They're going to be whatever, doing work. And I think as the world goes into automation, AI takeover, robot takeover, a lot of the population are going to start basically gambling, using these markets as a way to make enough money. And it's going to be gamified. And that's where we walk into the metaverse type of situation. So there you go. That's kind of that's just a side note with all of this going on with the elections. And by the way, so the other point being that as we move into 2030 and this sort of cybernetic world, I've often said we have the technology to have clear, transparent elections that the public can audit, not some voting machine company from another country, to do that for us. No, there's a way for the public to be able to vet and verify, even within the context of the Electoral College, which, if you're not familiar with it, you got to get caught up on how the Electoral College works. I think most people are aware of it that listen to this show. But if you're not, it's not just like a straight vote. Basically, each state has a number of electors that represent that state. And based on the votes that happen within the state, the number of votes electorally goes to the total vote. And, it's kind of complicated, and it's meant to be a little bit decentralized in theory, although that has not worked out too much for places like California over the years, who continue to get bought out. But we have the technology, and I think this is sort of the beginning of us starting to see how politics, gambling, it's all kind of becoming one big thing, and we're all going to be gambling, basically. Okay, back to CoinDesk.com. I'm not saying that you should. I'm saying that's where the world is headed. It says here, World Liberty Financial is spearheaded by Zachary Folkman and Chase Harrow, who worked previously on DeFi platform Doe Finance, like Doe, like donut dough, which saw $2 million of crypto assets drained through a July exploit. Now, I've been drained by exploits a couple times in Web3, so I understand that this is it's a possibility. You click one thing that's wrong in Web3, your money can be gone. That's just the reality of it. No banks. It's the trade-off. I want people to understand the trade-off happening here with Web3 and Web2. Web2 is, Bank of America, let me into your website. Let me check my money that you hold that you don't really have there, but it's just a number on the screen. But it's my money technically, but you're holding it. Oh, Bank of America, Chase Bank, whoever, let me in, make sure that you hold my money. That's the old way, right? The new way is, hey, I'm going to take care of my own money, and I'm going to, I have my own digital wallet. I control my digital money. Those digital numbers on the screen, I control it with my own access and clicks, right? Now, the trade-off is you're most likely not going to get completely scammed out of your money by clicking a few things on your bank account. I mean, you can. It takes a little bit more. It's a little bit more cumbersome, right, with the old system. The new system in Web3, you click on one false link. It could be a scam link where it looks exactly like a website you visit every day, but you just so happen to go to a search engine and pull it up that day. Well, that's it. You're done. Your money is gone. It's drained. And there's nothing you can do about it. You can't reverse that transaction. So responsibility about what you're clicking becomes way more important in Web3 because every click matters to you, not just, to some algo or some data set. So yeah, that's sort of the big change here. So anyway, Doe Finance, they got exploited for $2 million. Ouch, that hurts. Members of the Trump family, including Donald Trump, publicly championed the project on social media. Now, this is worded bad, okay? I know it's another paragraph, but it made it sound like they championed Doe Finance. But I think they were championing World Token here. So members of the Trump family, including Donald Trump, publicly championed the project on social media, with the former president being titled as, quote, Chief Crypto Advocate. Chief Crypto Advocate.
Bitcoin go to moon.
Let's go. If there's one reason to vote Trump, it's to pump your crypto bags. Let's go. Let's get Trump in office so he can pump our bags. The former president being titled as chief crypto advocate. Two of his sons, Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr., are involved as, quote, Web3 ambassadors. Well, folks, if you didn't listen to me before about getting into Web3, well, now you got the Trump sons as Web3 ambassadors. You're going to deny the Trump sons. You can deny me all you want. That's fine. But you're going to deny the Trump sons, the Web3 ambassadors, while his other son, Barron Trump, is listed as DeFi visionary. Wow, Barron Trump, the DeFi visionary. My goodness. This is wild. This is this is wild. The project aims to raise $300 million from the token sales at a valuation of $1.5 billion. Gee, according to its roadmap obtained and reported by The Block on Thursday. The upcoming token, called Worldfi, I guess, WLFI. Yeah, the ticker is terrible. Wolfi. You got some Wolfi? Serves as the protocol's governance token. It's a DAO. It's a DAO. And would allow users to vote on initiatives about the protocol's development, the report added. Again, folks, I've been saying for the longest time, this is the new system. This is how the new businesses, or the business model will be. And stay tuned, folks. There might be a Canary Cry DAO at some point. I've been teasing it for a while, but there are some more mechanisms, tools available now to make it a little bit easier to do something like that. And it's just the future of all this stuff. It's the future of how money and finance and projects and companies, it's how it's all going to operate. You're not going to need all this other nonsense. And I would gladly, in a sense, for the time being, help build ethical systems in that regard. Should Trump get into office and we have this big boom? And hey, if Trump's going to get rid of the IRS or restructure the IRS and fix the FBI and do all that, I'm not, you guys know on this show, I don't go super hard Republican. Obviously, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not going to go super left. I've always talked about the narrow path of Christ and how it's difficult to walk. But in certain circumstances, I think it's okay to be like, yeah, this is probably good in a sense, at least in the short term. I'm not saying it's going to be good forever, but at least in the short term, building something ethical, something that everyone can benefit from, something that can restore a little bit of, you can call it normalcy, or just basic ethical commerce in the world, especially for the United States, which stands for, or is supposed to stand for those things. I know we haven't for decades, but it's a moment where we can participate in that positivity while informing everybody to, hey, just have a kill switch ready, because at some point we're just going to have to say goodbye. So it says here at the end, the project proposed to launch on DeFi lending powerhouse Aave's version 3 platform on Ethereum mainnet for, quote, providing liquidity for Ether wrapped Bitcoin, okay, stablecoin, and potentially other digital assets, according to an Aave governance post on Wednesday. Okay, which I find very interesting. I don't know why they keep using Ethereum. I guess it's the one that's been picked as the number 2 to Bitcoin, but it's so slow. It's not very good. The fees alone are just ridiculous on the network. I mean, when the network was congested, I kid you not, people were buying NFTs, right? Pictures that we now know a lot of them were just held on centralized servers like Amazon. And, at best, it's on some of these other decentralized protocols. What's the Filecoin one? I forget the name of the Interplanetary File Service, Interplanetary File System, IPFS, I believe. Yeah, so some of those are a little bit more decentralized. But point being, the art and all that was it's not true digital ownership in a sense where you own the actual image. It was, you own the contract and it pointed to a link with an image somewhere on Amazon servers or something like that, right? So people were paying thousands of dollars for those pictures, and on top of it, paying hundreds of dollars, sometimes thousands of dollars in network fees just to get that transaction to go through. absurd. They're called gas fees, by the way. And it was absolutely out of control. So it's not good for mainstream adoption. I don't think it's and who's going to use a blockchain that costs just as much in fees as it does to actually move the thing or buy the thing you want to buy? It doesn't work. There are other better, quicker chains and newer technologies that are emerging in that regard. But I'm just mentioning this because part of what could be with Trump as president is a real hard leaning into cryptocurrencies to help America prosper or economically restore a little bit of balance in the United States, and that will trickle out into the world. And I can't necessarily say that's a bad thing. I mean, obviously, the end is the end, and we know it's coming. But in the short term, it does seem like something positive that we can all participate in and help each other out. Because the one thing that I would love to do as someone who's been on this side of the microphone for Canary Cry for years, over a decade, and with Age of Deceit and all this stuff, is to give back to our supporters, the people who have been producing the show, people who have been supporting us with their time, talent, treasure. It would be really cool if we can do something where all of you get gifted back all that you've given, and that doesn't necessarily mean some kind of monetary value on anything, but because I'm not promising anything like that. But even if it's just collectible items, something that's doable that you can trade or sell or something to give back to you guys would be very cool. And building those things and thinking those things through as we go through here. And I think we're, at least for this cycle, I'm running out of time to actually implement stuff because it is coming up on that last year. Now, World Liberty Financial. I mentioned it before, my concerns about this in connection to Worldcoin.
Bow down. Conform. No debate. Must have digital ID. Must bow down to the UN.
So Worldcoin posted on their X page, "A New World, October 17th, a live update with Alex Blania and Sam Altman in San Francisco." Yes, Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI, also the founder of Worldcoin, which, if you are not familiar, we have a bunch of episodes on Worldcoin going back a couple of years. Actually, I think 3 years now. 2021 is when we started to track them, when they were just an idea, when it was just a sparkle in the eye of Mr. Sam Altman. We tracked the idea because what they wanted to do was basically get an orb, a physical orb that you stare into. You look into this orb, it reads your iris, and it verifies your humanity, and you can carry on and move forward. And the thing that's crazy, is how far along Worldcoin has come. Now, Worldcoin is already $1 billion market cap. It's over $1 billion. And Crypto.news had this story, Worldcoin partners with Dune ahead of WorldChain mainnet. So Worldcoin, we got to understand about crypto is you have Bitcoin. Bitcoin is like the main one, right? It's digital gold, as they say, a digital store of value. And then you have all these other chains. A lot of them are called layer one blockchains because they are sort of the base layer where you can build stuff on top of it. Ethereum is one of those chains. Ethereum is a coin. Ethereum is also a smart contract platform. So you can build something on Ethereum. So you can build your own coin on Ethereum. You can build NFTs on Ethereum. You can do whatever. It's endless. And so a lot of projects will build their first iteration of their project or coin or whatever on Ethereum or another layer one. There's several competing layer ones. And eventually they get to a point where they fork off of that main chain like Ethereum and build their own chain, their own blockchain. So that's what Worldcoin is doing. They're creating their own blockchain. And Dune is just I think it's like a data analytics company that it's one of these companies that helps keep everything transparent for the public. So it says specifically, Dune will work with Worldcoin project contributor tools for humanity and the Worldcoin Foundation to ensure transparency for the on-chain data accessibility on WorldChain. Basically saying, hey, Dune is going to be a source of data gathering and access for World Chain. Dune does analysis of a whole bunch of chains, so this is not a big deal. It's just you're basically saying, hey, we're a real chain and we're getting accepted or looked at seriously by actual outlets or platforms like Dune that analyze that stuff and make it presentable to people. With this collaboration, World Chain users, including developers, will be able to explore on-chain metrics for real humans, decentralized finance protocols, exchanges, and any blockchain-based public project. WorldCoin's new blockchain, and they talk about WorldCoin here. At the end, it says here, World Chain is also set to integrate with the World ID, World App, and WorldCoin cryptocurrency. It will also tap into Ethereum and Optimism as part of the super chain. So, okay, they built it on Ethereum. They specifically built it on Optimism. Optimism. I know for people new to this, it might be like, what are you talking about? But Optimism, because Ethereum is so slow and clunky, for the last few years, a bunch of companies and groups started to try to create layer 2 Ethereum. So Ethereum's layer 1. It was the first one that had smart contracts, to really do it after Bitcoin. Bitcoin doesn't have smart contracts. Naturally, Bitcoin is just currency that can move. You can do some things with it, with inscriptions and stuff like that, but mainly it's a token. And then with Ethereum, it's also a token, but also this smart contract thing, and you can build on top of it. So all these people started building on top of it. Arbitrum was a Ethereum layer 2. Base Chain, which is Coinbase's own chain, that's a layer 2 Ethereum. And there's also Optimism. It's another layer 2. And so, and part of Optimism was creating the super chain of the chain of all the chains connect kind of thing. So that's what WorldCoin is built on. They're built on Optimism. Good to know. Users, and this is the kicker, okay? Users who verify their identity on the chain to prove they are human will enjoy benefits such as priority block space and gas-free transactions. Oh, spicy. Hey, I get to cut in line on the blockchain, folks, because I'm a real human. And then I get to pay lower gas fees because I'm a real human. The perks, right? It's always the perks to get people in. Yes, they partnered with Web3 platform Alchemy. Yes, there's a lot of occulty type of names in Web3. So the reason why I'm talking about WorldCoin here is it's just in conjunction or in tandem with the Trump story about World Liberty Financial. Obviously there's no public anything right now with the connection between World Liberty Financial and WorldCoin or World Chain, other than the word world. And if there ever will be some kind of coming together of these two worlds, WorldCoin, World Chain, and Donald Trump's World Liberty Financial, which was it? They said it was built on Ethereum. I forget now. Did they actually say what it was built on? Oh, ETH. Aave. Okay, so Aave. So it's built on ETH. Okay. Yeah, so it's all on Ethereum. So, And by the way, there are a few people who are very smart and have been in Web3 for a long time, who I consider some of the more knowledgeable people in the space. There's a couple of them that believe that Vitalik Buterin, who is the founder of Ethereum, he's a Russian native, but I believe he went and supported Ukraine. These particular folks are suggesting that they're going to find something on his laptop in the next few years, perhaps Vitalik Buterin's laptop, to take him down as, perhaps one of the creeper guys. And not just because maybe he is one or isn't one. I don't know. I mean, there's some seriously weird pictures, and he's like a super nerd, so it kind of makes sense. Certainly a weird guy if you see interviews of him and whatnot. But beside the point, I think whoever is in charge here would like to take down Vitalik because he's so influential in the development of Ethereum, and replace whoever will be replacing him. Somebody from America or somebody from the big banks to sort of, control Ethereum, or at least steer it in the direction that Wall Street would want to steer it. So that could be also the play here, because it's, again, there's a lot of shenanigans and we don't know exactly what's happening behind the scenes. But there seems to be a lot of movement going on. And speaking of money and movements and corruption, just want to keep this train rolling here. TD Bank pleads guilty in money laundering case, will pay $3 billion in penalties. That's coming from CNBC. And yeah, TD Bank pleading guilty for money laundering, will pay $3 billion in penalties. There's a little bit more to this, a little bit more than just a little bit of money laundering. This is well, we'll get into it here. It says here that TD Bank pleaded guilty Thursday to multiple criminal charges and agreed to pay a whopping $3 billion in fines and other penalties to the Department of Justice and financial regulators for failing to monitor, excuse me for the show burps, failing to monitor money laundering by drug traffickers and other criminals. Oh, CNBC, yes, drug traffickers, no good. Money laundering, no good. Other criminals? What kind of other criminals are we talking about? As part of the deal, TD Bank, whose U.S. unit is the 10th largest American bank by assets, will also have limits to its growth imposed by the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. The total assets of TD Bank's two U.S. banking subsidiaries will be barred from exceeding $343 billion under that restriction. The restrictions are similar to those imposed by the Federal Reserve on Wells Fargo in 2018 over what the Federal Reserve called, quote, widespread consumer abuses at that bank. Can we just fix the banks? They just keep doing it. Look, $3 billion is a lot of money, okay? But $3 billion, okay, hold on. Let me do some math. Let me do a little quick math. $3 billion. Oh, okay. So $3 billion out of $434 billion is 0.7%. So their fine is just a little slap on the wrist. Yeah, you know, hey, little under 1%, 0.7% fine on your holdings. And yeah, continue. Did they say anything about preventing this further? Quote, by making its services convenient for criminals, TD Bank became one. Attorney General Merrick Garland on Thursday. Quote, today TD Bank also became the largest bank in U.S. history to plead guilty to Bank Secrecy Act program failures, and the first U.S. bank in history to plead guilty to conspiracy to commit money laundering. Hey, at least they're admitting, right? Hey, quote, TD Bank chose profits over compliance with the law. A decision that is now costing the bank billions of dollars in penalties. Let me be clear. Our investigation continues, and no individual involved in TD Bank's illegal conduct is off limits. Are you scared yet? Merrick Garland is coming after you. Garland, speaking at a press conference in D.C., said a monitor would oversee the bank's compliance with anti-money laundering practices for 3 years as part of a settlement with the DOJ, which is receiving $1.8 billion in connection with the bank's guilty plea and federal court in Newark, New Jersey. You know what's funny? As they expose this and they take the $3 billion, the $3 billion being paid to our government and $1.8 billion going to the Department of Justice, isn't that its own kind of money laundering going on? It's like, yeah, you know, we're just gonna pay ourselves a little bit, and we're gonna make it look nice, like we're tearing down the banks, like we're taking down this monopoly of slavery, of economic slavery, but really we're just gonna pay ourselves for doing it because we did such a good job. The Attorney General said that over a 6-year period that ended last October, TD Bank admittedly failed to monitor. They failed to monitor a stunning $18.3 trillion in customer activity, which allowed 3 money laundering networks to transfer more than $670 million through accounts at the bank. It was so big that 3 money laundering networks were able to just go scot-free. $670 million transferred through the network is, I mean, it's a lot, but that number seems low. It feels like they're doing a lot more than that, to be honest. At least one of those schemes involved 5 bank employees, Garland said. Oh, those evil bank employees. Yeah, okay. Money laundering, blah, 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 blah. But they're missing one of the important details, which you got to scroll way deep into the article to find. It just keeps going here. It keeps going. Hey, I thought I highlighted this. Let's see if I can find it again. Here we go. Quote, this is Deputy Treasury Secretary Wally Adeyemo. The vast majority of financial institutions have partnered with FinCEN. That's the financial, I forget the exact thing for FinCEN. What is it? The Central, Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. That's right. Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN, which is sort of the watchdog, if you will, of financial services. Quote, the vast majority of financial institutions have partnered with FinCEN to protect the integrity of the U.S. financial system. TD Bank did the opposite. From fentanyl to narcotics trafficking to terrorist financing and human trafficking, TD Bank's chronic failures provided fertile ground for a host of illicit activity to penetrate our financial system. The Wall Street Journal reported in May that the DOJ was investigating how Chinese organized crime groups and drug traffickers used TD Bank to launder money derived from the sale of the deadly opiate fentanyl in the United States. And it goes on here to some other details. But, man, you know, the double-edged sword is real. The double-edged sword is real, and let me explain what I mean by that. TD Bank failed to monitor $18.3 trillion of customer activity, right? And that allowed for all this money laundering. Now, on the surface, it's like incompetence. TD Bank, what are you doing? Incompetence. How could you ignore what the customers were doing on your platform, on your network? But if you think about it, if it's true that they did not monitor all that customer activity, that means if you had a bank account at TD Bank or some money in TD Bank, they weren't paying attention to you. They were really paying attention to they respected your privacy. Think about that, folks. You know, it's a double-edged sword because maybe that was their whole ethical approach to this. Hey, it's not our business what the people are doing with their money. We just transmit and hold the money for them. We are not responsible for what they do with it or what's happening with it, right? The argument can be made. In fact, that's a solid argument. That's a pretty constitutionally sound argument. Now, again, it's sort of the philosophical debate. Well, yeah, but if you know that there's illegal activity taking place to the tunes of $670 million, shouldn't you do something? There's an argument there. Like, yeah, if you knowingly are complicit in allowing not just drug trafficking, not just money laundering, but human trafficking, yeah, maybe you should speak up. Maybe you should say something. So you can tell how it's a double-edged sword, right? But it's all leading to a much more transparent financial system, which is why I think it's very fascinating that Trump is leaning in hard to crypto. And Barron Trump is the, what did they call him? I'm going to try to lean into this this title they gave Barron Trump, the DeFi visionary. Yes, DeFi visionary Barron Trump. The future of finance is on the shoulders of Barron Trump. It's nice and high in the air. He's a tall dude. And the DeFi visionary will recreate banks altogether. And you think it sounds crazy because we're on this side of it, but it can happen very quickly, folks. It can happen very, very quickly. There are more people that own crypto in America now. In the world, people are moving into crypto. And interestingly enough, you know who else is leaning into the crypto is Kamala Harris.
All kidding aside, of course, President Harris.
We got to take this stuff seriously as you are, because you have been forced to have to take it seriously.
President Harris.
What you doing tomorrow? It's just the right thing to do. It's about being a good corporate citizen.
This is coming from NPR.com in the headline. In outreach to black men, Harris to vow to legalize weed, protect crypto. I guess the two most important things for black men are legalizing weed and protecting crypto. Interesting. It's an insult to all black men. Seriously, it is. But I also think it's an insult to any weed smoker. And an insult to every crypto bro or lady out there. Just all around. They must be throwing this woman under the bus for a reason. Vice President Kamala Harris is pledging Monday to legalize recreational marijuana, protect cryptocurrency assets, and give 1 million loans to black entrepreneurs as part of her efforts to court black voters who may be pivotal in the presidential race. No, all I have seen are black people support Trump. I mean, I'm rarely seeing, at least the ones that are loud and on social media and even in real life, a few of my black friends, and they're not supporting any Democrats. They're all in on Trump. So I don't know. I don't think that, and I don't have the clip, but Barack Obama came out last week, started scolding, black people. He's got to vote for your brother or whatever he said. It's so sad. Polls show that some black men may be gravitating toward former President Trump. No, they're full on. They're wearing the MAGA hat. They're waving the flag. I mean, it's full board. Harris's Republican rival or not vote at all. Okay, so they're leaning Trump or not voting. Harris and other prominent Democrats are trying to counter that. Among the initiatives being announced by Harris Monday, legalizing recreational weed. Okay, blah, 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 blah. It's the whole talking points here. And equity for black men, addressing sickle cell disease, which we know, if you've been keeping track with our show, we know that one of the leading CRISPR-Cas9, that's the gene editing technology that's being tested in America and approved for testing and has pretty much been successful so far, is sickle cell disease. That's one of the big ones that they're testing. So yeah, great. Yeah, get all those black men, get them hooked on weed, get them hooked on gambling and crypto and investing in nonsense coins. But which, by the way, the FBI did a honeypot with the FBI created a fake token and started basically trying to pinpoint the market makers and find guilty market makers or whatever, unethical trading or whatnot, which is hilarious because what they were doing was entrapment. What they were doing is totally unethical by creating a fake token and bribing people and whatever, the whole deal. And what's funny is they doxed their wallets. It's the blockchain, folks. You can see all the transactions. So the FBI doxed their wallets. And now there's a whole slew of people, public blockchain sleuths and quants, as they are called. They're called sleuths and quants. That's the language. Looking up the blockchain, following these wallets, watching their actions because they know that it's an FBI-controlled wallet, which is different from past times when you didn't really know what the FBI was up to with their money or their financial movements. Now we have a public blockchain that tracks all of it if you know how to read it. So I continue here. Former president, we don't need to read all this here. Obama weighed in last week. That's right. Okay. So yeah. All right. Kamala's desperate. She's desperate. But I think there's another story here. I think it really reveals the deeper issue here and kind of the heart of today's episode, as far as my side in the rant that I've been on now for about an hour, is the issue of money in the political context for this particular elections and what it means, especially targeting young men.
Poly.
It's Latin for many.
Tick.
They'll suck your blood. They'll suck
Politics.
Your blood.
This is from NBCnews.com, and the headline is Young Men's Economic Prospects Are Shifting Along with Their Politics. Okay, so the attack on men, think about the attack on men and masculinity over the last decade and a half, 2 decades maybe. Open, outright political attack on men, their role in society and everything else. Think about that as we read through this article. Okay, it says here, for David Tasker, an 18-year-old construction worker in Pennsylvania, his top financial priorities are having enough money for gas, dining out and spending on his girlfriend while living at home with his parents. But he worries about the rising prices he's seen during his teen years as he's emerged into an economy experiencing decades-high inflation. For his first election, he said he will be voting for former President Donald Trump and those higher costs and concerns about the wider economy in mind. Now, NBC News profiling a poor 18-year-old man and how he's going to vote Trump. It's very interesting. Quote, Trump can run America like a business, and Kamala would run it as a classroom, Tasker said. Quote, Trump would care about how Americans can get the most money, how we can care for the most people, and keep America first, end quote. Young men like Tasker, seen as a solidly Democratic group less than 2 decades ago, have been shifting further to the right politically as their economic outlook has been on a downward trajectory, especially among those without a college degree, said pollsters and social scientists. Man, they're trying so hard to be like neutral and like, oh, yeah, 2 decades ago, a young 18-year-old man, he would definitely be a Democrat. But man, the downward trajectory of this economy, he's turning Republican. But you know what? If you look at the polls, if you ask the social scientists, the majority of the people that are doing that don't have a college degree. You see, they are unintelligent. They are unintelligent people. No, it's not that they don't have enough money to go to college or to have the correct education or the education path to get to college or university level. And also to suggest that, just because you don't go to college, you're some kind of idiot, or that you can't make money or you can't be successful in life. These assumptions are just ridiculous and outdated. So let me continue here. While the economy has been a top issue for many voters, it's been a particularly salient one for young men and one tied into their wider cultural ideals about their place in society and wanting to be a provider for their families. Once again, it's very sneaky for NBC to be talking like the conservatives were talking 2-3 years ago about the downfall of Western civilization, the role of men in families, and in the downfall of the economy, and how they go together, and the culture and everything, but it's just very interesting. It's very interesting that they are now admitting that they see the problem. Quote, the economic and employment picture for younger men without college degrees, must emphasize, younger men without college degrees, is significantly worse than previous generations. Yeah, usually it's because the university prices keep going up, and it's not keeping up with inflation. Or inflation is just out. It's getting more expensive, and most people are not able to keep up with inflation. Their income is not able to keep up, especially these last 40 years. Okay, so that's the quote, said Dan Cox, director of the Survey Center on American Life at the American Enterprise Institute, whose research has focused on young adults. Quote, these sort of traditional norms around masculinity and what it means to be a man and a husband are wrapped up in economic success, and that makes it really, really challenging when their economic outlook is not as bright. Yeah. Yes. If you choke the economy, you make it harder for men to bring home do what they need to do to provide for their family. And yeah, they're gonna push back against that, especially when it's very clear, the two sort of economic philosophies that have been rolled out are clear. I mean, you can get my 7-year-old daughter would understand that, hey, what do you want for the future? Do you want what's been going on the last 4 years, or you want something that seemed a little better before that? It's a pretty straightforward thing. Now, again, I'm always going to say that it doesn't mean that things are going to work out forever. or that it's good forever, or that, Republicans can do no wrong, or Trump can do no wrong, or anything like that. It's simply within the cultural divide of the elections, especially within the political vacuum, where we are presented two options. We're presented the red pill or the blue pill or whatever it is. It's a situation we're in, and it just seems like one has a path that has more options for our children and their futures than the other. Let me continue here. The economic anxieties among young men are both current and generational. Those without a college degree are making less money when adjusted for inflation than the generations before them, and are less likely to be working full-time, according to data from the Pew Research Institute. See, this is part of the problem. Places like Pew they're bought out. We're not getting legit statistics, first of all. And second of all, I'm really curious about this college degree, people without a college degree making less money, because aren't the wealthiest entrepreneurs all college dropouts? I'm going to look for a list of college dropout billionaires and see if I can come up with a quick list, because I know, I'm pretty sure did Bill Gates finish college? I feel like Bill Gates didn't finish college, but maybe not. Let me see if I can find something here. Oh yeah, Bill Gates, net worth $110 billion, dropped out of Harvard. Mark Zuckerberg dropped out of Harvard. Steve Jobs dropped out of Reed College. Larry Ellison dropped out of University of Chicago and University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. Michael Dell, ever heard of Dell? Dropped out from University of Texas. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know about this. I mean, I get it. There's only a few billionaires, but it feels like if you're doing the math on the numbers, shouldn't those billionaires tip the scale a little bit? Or is it that bad? Is it so bad that, yeah, the 0.0001% of college dropouts can become billionaires, but everybody else is making less than the majority who do have a college degree? I don't know. I don't know the minutia of the data, but they do try to give us some numbers here. At the same time, women have been making gains. Good job, women. You've been making gains. Where's my Newsom women's rule? Do I have that on hand? Let me check.
Women rule!
A larger share of women aged 25 to 34 work full-time. Aren't you glad the more women are not in their homes supporting their families anymore? They're working full time. 67% today compared to 55% in 1993. And that's the thing. They're spinning this as a positive. They've been making gains. And certainly, again, the numbers show, yes, they're making more money than they were before, but there's still a gap. Men are still making more in general, although there's a lot. People have broken this down on, your conservative talk shows with how there's a difference in risk assessment when it comes to jobs that males tend to take over women and things like that. So there's a lot to be considered here, not just the straight numbers. The variables that aren't considered are always important to consider when you look at these types of polls and numbering and everything like that. So here we go. Let's see. Quote, "This is just a huge economic fact that lies behind a lot of this sense of cultural dislocation among men. This sense of not really knowing whether you're going to be needed or feeling like you're failing against the standard that was set 50 years ago about the position of men and women in the labor market," end quote, said Richard Reeves, president of the American Institute for Boys and Men, which he founded to study the unique problems males face. Interesting. Reeves said his research indicates that a sense of economic and social dislocation could also be contributing to higher suicide rates among young men and wider substance abuse. And yes, I think so. You take the basic principle of men, their really their basic need in terms of their psychology, or I guess I'm a man, so our psychology, in terms of meaning, purpose. These are important things. And one thing that people always characterize, even within the masculinity and the feminine movement type thing, they characterize men as like masculine and bold and stoicism and all this kind of stuff. And no, we're not emotional. And then with women, oh, we're so emotional. But men also feel emotion, by the way. Men feel emotion. And also, women can be so cold. Women can be so cold, right? So it's not a male-female thing when it comes to that. But I find it fascinating that the impact, years and years and years of propaganda through television showing the, demasculating men in different TV shows and movies. It's culturally, it's been there for so long, right? I think people have recognized that in the last few years. But even 5-10 years ago, we were pointing that kind of stuff out. The psychological impact on an entire generation of men is palpable now. Higher suicide rates, more substance abuse. Oh, and guess what? Just let the illegal fentanyl thing happen. And let's just get that fentanyl in everywhere, right? So it all seems by design, is what I'm saying. And it's no surprise. Quote, it's a very, very difficult and painful transition right now between some of the cultural expectations we have about the role of men and the economic reality on the ground, he said. So economic reality on the ground is people can't afford nothing right now, especially men, apparently. Non-college educated men are having issues right now because a lot of them have been really hypnotized, I would say, mind controlled, if you will, to play video games, do drugs, sit around, not do much. And part of it is their own fault, but also part of it is the societal impact of pushing that stuff down their throats. What did you expect with the way culture was going for men to turn out like over the span of a few years if, all you're doing is pumping chemical food and, again, video games, like glorifying all that kind of stuff that's not important. So I'm not surprised at all. And at the same time, the economic viability is ridiculous. I mean, people get a job or whatever, but they're spending their money on video games, on drugs, on a good time, on their girlfriends or whatever. They're not getting taught how to invest. They're not getting taught how to save money or build wealth or any of that stuff. I wasn't either. So I'm not saying that I got it all figured out, but it's a very obvious thing at this point. And looking at the generation of men now, and I'm actually happy to see some men stand up and say, hey, we're going to push back against this. Now, it can be a little bit overdone, which I believe is expected at this point, right? You're going to get, when you pull the pendulum so far to one side, it's going to swing the other way, right? You're going to get your over macho type of stuff, which, it's good entertainment depending on the context of what it is, but not always the best thing because you can, people get too aggressive towards women, towards children, whatever it may be. So it can be overdone, but I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just the rebalancing, if you will. It says here, a sign of strength. The diverging economic picture for younger men and women is likely contributing to a growing political divide, researchers said. Oh, really? Huh. Young men have been shifting away from the Democratic Party, with 33% now identifying as Democrats compared to 42% in 2020. Okay. All right. So of all the men in the United States, almost half, a little less than half, 42% back in 2020 were Democrats. And now that's a big decline, nearly 10% less Democrats in 4 years during a Democrat reign in this country. I think it's a pretty big deal. I think it's a big deal. And the fact that only 1/3 of men, young men, identify as Democrat, it feels about right. Feels about right. Most men don't identify with that stuff. They don't. There is some, though. It's a free country. You can do that if you'd like. That's part of being in this country. You can be whatever political thing. You can share whatever you want as long as you're not hurting anybody, right? While the poll found Vice President Kamala Harris is the preferred candidate. What poll? What poll is finding President Kamala as the preferred candidate? Oh, the corrupt ones? Okay. While the poll found Vice President Kamala Harris to be the preferred candidate among the majority of both young men and women and has been gaining support with both groups. The shift in support for the Democratic nominee among younger women has eclipsed that of men. Okay, hold on. Among likely female voters 18 to 29 years old, 70% said they plan to vote for Harris, while 53% of likely male voters in that age group preferred Harris. Okay. Now that they're getting into the gobbledygook of the stats, you know that they're trying to paint a picture. They're trying to paint a picture that's not there, right? So let's break this down just a little bit. Well, the polls, first of all, this poll finds Vice President Kamala Harris as the preferred choice. So already sus on the poll, right? But then they say that a shift in support for the Democratic nominee among younger women has eclipsed that of men, which means more women support Kamala Harris than men do. Okay, which makes sense. Kamala Harris is a female. She's running for, it's round 2 of trying to get a female in office as president. And more specifically, diving into the details, you're among likely female voters 18 to 29, so your youngest block of female voters, 70% say they plan to vote for Harris. Think about that, folks. 70% of young 18 to 29-year-old women are voting for Harris. Meanwhile, all-time high males with, suicide and problems, all kinds of stuff, and not being able to provide. While 53% of likely male voters in that age group preferred Harris. So 53% of males, but they couldn't even say straight males. They just said likely male voters. Maybe this was a woke thing. Maybe they're like, yeah, they're male, but maybe they might identify as female because what's gender anyway? Right? So maybe this was just them trying to finagle with stuff, but it doesn't make any sense. That compares to 2008 when Barack Obama won the votes of 66% of young men. So, okay, they're admitting to a little bit of a decline here in the men who support the Democrats. 66% of young men 18 to 29 supporting Barack Obama in 2008, which makes sense. At the time, we're coming post 2008 economic crash under Bush, which was Republican, which was also, wars in Afghanistan after 9/11, which was still under Bush Jr.'s watch. So, the 8 years of Republicanism post the year 2000 was shrouded with neocons, war, all that stuff, right? So the young people wanted to change, and so therefore they bring in Barack Obama, young, hip, eloquent, intelligent black man, and he's very popular, takes the culture by storm, becomes president, and you get 8 years with Obama. And of course, after 8 years with Obama, things are not looking too hot. Democrats start getting exposed for a bunch of weird stuff, and everyone wants Trump. And now it's just kind of it's gotten dirty, right? Before it was kind of 8-year blocks with presidents, but now it's just getting a little dirty with the Democrats, basically stealing the election, if you will, in 2020. And now the young people are really fed up with what's been going on. So very interesting. Quote, there's a perception that when Trump was president, the economy was doing better. It's not a perception. They're like hard numbers you can look at to see that, yes, the economy was doing a little better under President Trump between 2016 and 2020. You can look at a crypto chart and see that. Okay. I could pay for rent. Things were generally better in terms of my financial bottom line, said Melissa Deckman, CEO of the research firm PRRI, who wrote the book on the politics of Gen Z. Quote, for young men, that's maybe more appealing than it is for young women because young women vote based on the economy. They're also voting based on social issues. Because while young women vote based on the economy, they're also voting based on social issues. You wrote a book on Gen Z. Okay, all right, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. You wrote a book. I didn't write a book on this. So Melissa Deckman, maybe you have data in front of you that I don't. But it's hard for me to believe that young women mainly vote based on the economy. I guess many would if they really are paying attention to that stuff. But if you're getting 70% of young women 18 to 29 vote for Kamala or support Kamala, that's not on economic principles or economic terms. That's clearly on social issues, which, I mean, even then, it's like, who knows what they're really supporting with Kamala. It's hard to understand what she's even about. And you got Hulk Hogan there at the Trump rally, and they talk about that a little bit. The Trump campaign has also been trying to appeal to ideals of masculinity, with everything from Hulk Hogan ripping off his shirt at the Republican National Convention to targeted messages around areas popular with young men like Zyn nicotine pouches and cryptocurrency. That's funny. Very funny. Childless and still living at home. How the day-to-day economy looks to many young men is starkly different than it does for other demographic groups, as they are less likely to feel the effects of some of the top issues on the campaign trail, like the costs of prescription drugs, childcare, or mortgage interest rates. Instead, a higher share of their income goes to rent, dining out, and entertainment, along with student loan debt. Yeah, that's the part of the, again, earlier they were talking about, these young men that don't have college degrees, they're having economic issues. And if you think about it, the people that got degrees, I will speak anecdotally. I don't have statistics on this. This is anecdotal. Most of my friends and family are not that went to college and graduated, are not in a line of business or a line of work that directly is represented by their degree. Almost nobody. The only people that really are people that become doctors or, doctors, lawyers, there's maybe the arts or something. There's like certain categories of work that's true. But, you get an econ degree, you're not necessarily doing anything related to that. Yeah, I mean, my sociology degree is worth nothing. I mean, I don't even have it yet. I have 8 units to go. I finished all my work, but apparently I was 8 units shy. So I never got that piece of paper. I got the education. I just didn't get that piece of paper. And it hasn't either way. I don't think it's done me any good in terms of getting in anywhere or getting perks or anything like that. On top of it, a majority, maybe I should look that up. I'm about to say something. Okay, hold on. I'm going to see what ChatGPT spits at me. What percentage of college students go into debt? Because that's part of my experience when I first got on a college campus was all these credit card companies coming at you, telling you to sign up. And at the time you're thinking like, whoa, they're like trying to give us free money kind of thing. It's not letting me ask this question. ChatGPT has barred me from asking this question. Why? Something went wrong. Maybe OpenAI. Come on. I can always try. Let's try Grok. Let's try a different AI. Grok's a little bit more loosey-goosey. Let's see. What percentage of college students go into debt? Let's see. A reasonable estimate based on data provided would suggest that approximately 55 to 60% of college students in the U.S. take on debt specifically for their education. All right. That's good enough for me. Thank you, Grok. I don't know if that's true, but let's just call it 50%. Half the people that go into college come out with debt that they're paying off for years. So great, you got your college education, but it also means you're in debt. So you're in economic slavery either way. One of the biggest financial pressure points for young men has been higher rents, which are up around 20% since 2020. Yep, I think we all feel that. About 2/3 of young adults say they spend more than 30% of their monthly income on housing, and about a quarter said that more than half of their income goes to housing, according to data from Bank of America. We're really trusting data from Bank of America? I don't know. One more highlight here. The difficult financial situation has this generation of young adults putting off major life events, economists said. Among adults ages 18 to 24, only 7% were married in 2023, compared to 18% 3 decades earlier. Man, that's a big deal. I don't think people realize how big of a deal that is. But I guess, what is that? 30, what did they say? 3 decades. So 30 years. 30 years is kind of a long time, but it is still quite a difference from basically 1 in 5 young people being married. 18 to 24 is very young. And for 1 in 5 18 to 24-year-old to be married 3 decades ago to now less than, so if there's 10, maybe 1 is married, right? That makes sense. That makes sense in terms of what's happening. But that's sad. It's very sad. And it speaks into what the whole agenda is in terms of the depopulation type of situation here. I was trying to find my oh, here we are.
We should invite fewer people to be born.
That's the protocol. That's the baseline. It was said years ago, Margaret Thatcher, and it's happening now. They're making it happen. It's working. They're also putting off having children, with 33% of young adults 18 to 29 having at least 1 child in the household, compared to 59% in 1993. Okay, so 3 decades ago, nearly almost 2/3 of young people 18 to 29 had at least 1 child. Now only 1 in 3 18 to 29-year-old has a child. So the depopulation is working. And here, I got some more stuff here. Yeah, that's right. This is just back to the Harris trying to propose initiatives. Biden. Okay, I have to finish with this. Biden administration has enacted policies that could disproportionately benefit young working class men, like spending more than $1 trillion on building new infrastructure and incentives that have spurred a wave of investments into electric vehicle and semiconductor manufacturing. Yeah, oh, good. Yes, let's pour in $1 trillion to what robots make so that young working class men can feel like they have a purpose in life. Good job, Joe. Good job, Joe. Harris has proposed a number of initiatives that could also improve the lives of these young men. Oh, like what? Like seed money for startup businesses. Okay, great. Thanks. That's a seed. Those are loans, right? You're talking about loans. And assistance with a down payment on a home. Oh, okay. Along with wider access to mental health care. Okay. Yeah. Get your brain right. Let's brainwash you properly so you can stay a slave. That's basically what it is. This goes on and on here, but I thought it was a seminal article in the mainstream, finally admitting to the problems that really they have facilitated. The places like NBC have been responsible for facilitating this type of sentiment that it clearly has affected a generation of young men. And now they're like, hey, it's happening. And it's, notice how they didn't really get into what's causing it. They're like, yeah, inflation and, the economic downturn is causing people, they want to vote Trump. It's kind of a lamenting beat around the bush that they're doing. And that in itself is quite interesting, and it's just it's interesting to see that the economy itself is truly the nexus point for this elections. Most people are not voting on social issues this round. The people that are coming out to vote don't care about social issues for the most part. They care about their checkbooks, their pocketbooks, the bottom line. Can they put food on the table? Can they keep a roof over their heads? If those basic needs are not met, doesn't matter how flashy you are or how cool you are on TV or whatever, you're not going to get the support of the American people. And I find it fascinating. California, Trump just had his rally, and we just talked about the guy, the alleged shooter guy, the prevented third attempt or whatever. The one thing I didn't mention was out in California. The whole thing happened in California. Big turnout for the rally. And I've been saying for a long time that California is way more red than people realize. I drive around, and not that it was super Democrat before. Like you'd see your Kamala or Biden or Obama stickers, especially during the Obama era. It was pretty bad. A lot of Obama stickers and whatnot, bumper stickers. But now I drive around town. I drive around Southern California. I mean, it's trucks with Trump flags. It's people waving Trump flags on the street corner, MAGA hats everywhere. I'm like, where are these Democrats? I don't know where any of these Democrats are. Most of them are red. The state is red. So it would be quite the trip if California flips red this elections. And maybe that's why, maybe the simulations showed that, yeah, if we have a straight, honest election this time around, the Republicans are going to win the Electoral College for California. And maybe that's why Newsom made it so that you don't need IDs to vote in California. If I am not mistaken. I think I talked about this last episode. I just want to double check. Perkins Core. Yep. New California law prohibits localities from imposing their own voter ID requirements. So yeah, Gavin Newsom just passed this on September 29th. SB 1174 prohibits local governments from requiring voters to present identification when casting their ballots at the polls. Just insanity. I mean, it's so in your face. SB 1174, authored by State Senator Dave Min, a Democrat in Irvine. Oh, that's the city I moved to as a young lad when I was 7 years old. I spent most of my life there in Irvine. And I always knew something was wrong with Irvine. It's like the Truman Show when you're driving around. It's like everything's super clean and like shiny. But then you learn what's going on, and it's like, oh my goodness, corruption and evil and all kinds of stuff going on underneath. Very, very Truman Show-esque. And a lot of, I don't know if they're Chinese, but a lot of Asian, I would just say, Asian influence in Irvine government, and Irvine in general, but in Irvine government. And that's been, man, what do you do? All right. There's a reason why I said I'd never go back to Irvine, never going to live in Irvine ever again. It's nonsense. But anyway, yeah, so that's they know that it's not looking good. And so, of course, they're going to pass some laws. Look, you need a driver's license to drive a car, right? You need an ID to buy alcohol and tobacco at a grocery store or at a little, whatever, convenience store. But to vote, which is something that you can't do until you're 18, you don't need ID, just come over. And I mean, how many? I can already see it. California is going to go blue, obviously, but I think it's going to be years of just uncovering some nonsensical corruption that's going to happen over the next few years after. I just hope, and I do believe there's enough red across the United States to, for Trump to win. And I certainly would rather have that than a Kamala Harris 4 years coming up here. Obviously, although I have my reservations for the techno-populist movement that is upon us. But it's an interesting time where America is literally hanging by a thread, and it takes a techno-populist TV show billionaire. I guess he's still a billionaire, right? Trump's technically a billionaire. Maybe he's not anymore. Multimillionaire guy to get things right. It's kind of a sad state of affairs if you're really stepping back and looking at it. Okay, got a couple more stories to cover, and then I'll get out of your ear. This one was fun. This is a little Elon story here. Where's my Elon jingle?
You are already sort of a cybernetic symbiote. Neural nets are taking over from regular programming. So you are connected.
Politico.com. California officials cite Elon Musk's politics in rejecting SpaceX launches. Okay. All right. For a group of people that say that, blame others for making things political. I mean, you can't get more political than this. You're not going to let a guy launch his rockets in your state because you don't like his politics. All right. Sweet. Sweet. Elon Musk's tweets about the presidential election and spreading falsehoods about Hurricane Helene. What falsehoods? are endangering his ability to launch rockets off California's central coast. The California Coastal Commission. More bureaucracy, please. We just need bureaucracy for everything. On Thursday, rejected the Air Force's plans to give SpaceX permission to launch up to 50 rockets a year from Vandenberg Air Force Base in Santa Barbara County. Quote, Elon Musk is hopping about the country, spewing and tweeting political falsehoods and attacking FEMA while claiming his desire to help the hurricane victims with free Starlink access to the internet, Commissioner Gretchen Newsom said at a San Diego meeting. Gretchen, is that Newsom's wife? Hold on. Is there an unrelated Newsom? I thought it was Gavin Newsom. Gretchen Newsom, new appointee, Speaker of the Assembly appointee, community leader and advocate for working families, president of the Ocean Beach Town Council. Oh boy. It's in Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. Okay. Related to Gavin? Is it his wife? Maybe somebody in the chat knows this and you're freaking out. I don't think they are related. Huh. Okay. Weird. I don't trust anyone named Newsom. Let's just leave it at that. The agency's commissioners, appointed by the governor and legislative leaders, voted 6-4 to reject the Air Force plans. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Considering the parallel economy that Elon is building, it's another thing to keep in mind with the techno-populist thing. The money rails are going to be an important factor to pay attention to, and I believe we are going to have to move over to some of these systems in the short term here. And I'll walk through everybody with some of this as time goes on and to be a part of it. But it's not a surprise that California would do this to Elon Musk. But I also think it's getting to the point where the psyop to get everybody to support Elon, especially on the right, especially if you're conservative, man, you're just falling. It's so easy to fall into that trap of supporting Elon Musk because of the quote unquote political persecution or cultural persecution that he is facing as a billionaire who wants to put internet all over the world in the skies with his satellites and communication devices, and also take humanity to allegedly another planet, but also has a tunnel digging company, but also is in charge of the company that builds the most cars in the electronic format, which is something that the 2030 UN people have wanted for a long time. But also to kick it off, or to put a cherry on top of it all, the guy who wants to put a brain chip in your brain and make the Everything app, so we can think tweets in the future. That guy. Everyone loved that guy because he's defending free speech, right? So there's a little bit of a hanky-panky going on, I believe, in that area as well. But let's move on. A couple more here.
Mind control weapons.
This is IndiaToday.com, or .in, I guess, .india. And I've went on some dream engineering, dream advertising rants a few weeks ago in Twitter Spaces or X Spaces. And this one came across the desk. And, it's interesting because, well, let's get into it. India Today, the headline, 2 people communicated in their dreams. Scientists claim experiment success. I'll tell you why I think this is a scam, but okay, let me tell you. Ever thought of talking to someone while dreaming? Well, it seems that scientists in California have brought this phenomenon closer to reality after they achieved the first two-way communication between individuals through lucid dreaming. REM Space, a California-based startup that designs technology to enhance sleep and lucid dreaming, exchanged a message between 2 participants selected for the experiment who were asleep on September 24th, DailyMail.com reported. They were sleeping on September 24th, and we communicated between their brains. The participants were both experienced lucid dreamers. Okay, looks all right. Meaning that they had honed the skill of being aware that they were dreaming while still asleep. Lucid dreaming occurs during rapid eye movement stage of sleep, a period when the brain is most active and dreams are vivid. As the participants settled into their beds, they were equipped with specially designed apparatuses that tracked their brain waves and other polysomnographic data remotely. These devices were linked to a central server, the heart of the REM space system, and monitored their sleep patterns in real time. Yeah, no, we're trying to decentralize brain scanning dream people. Decentralize. Don't centralize more. Don't centralize our dreams. The experiment began as one individual drifted into a lucid dream. The server, detecting the distinct brainwave patterns indicative of lucid dreaming, generated a random word from a unique language called Remio. This word was transmitted to the first patient via earbuds. A gentle whisper in the darkness of his dream. It's very poetic. It's very poetic. It's a very poetic way of saying there was auditory communication that took place. Now, look. They're saying that this word was communicated through the dream state. So you'd expect these individuals to receive the message in their purely in their dream state, in their lucid dream state. No external anything, right? But no, the word was whispered into the other person's ear while they were sleeping. I mean, folks, if that's the standard, then all of you who have fallen asleep during this episode, you are hearing me now, and I am a gentle whisper in the darkness of your dreams. And I'm going to seed a secret message to you. Become a producer of Canary Cry News Talk, and your life will be better. You will be smarter. You will be stronger. You will be faster. You will simply be better. Okay, all right, that's enough. That's enough of that. Yeah, so anyway, that sounds like a scam, doesn't it? Oh, yeah, we got the dream communication, even though it was transmitted through the auditory system. In his dream state, the first participant heard the word Zilak and repeated it aloud. His voice captured by the sensors and stored on the server. This was the first half of communication, a message sent from one dreamer to another. But is it really, is it really a dream to another person dreaming if it's going through the ears? Through speakers? Through little earbuds? 8 minutes later, the second participant entered her own lucid dream. The server, now aware of her dream state, transmitted the word Zilak to her through her earbuds again in her dream. Maya, now she has a name. Maya heard the word and repeated it, meaning that the message had been delivered. Have you ever repeated a word you heard in your earbuds, folks? You might be getting manipulated in your dreams. When the second participant woke up, she confirmed the word she had received in her dream, making the first ever successful communication between two people while they were dreaming. This was not just a simple exchange. It was a historic milestone that bridged the gap between the conscious and subconscious worlds. That's the key. That is what they are trying to do. They are trying to get into our mind space so that they can build the metaverse. The mindverse, I guess, your mindverse, to build a metaverse, because they're not going to just get anybody in there. You know, it's a little cumbersome. But if you can sell it as like, hey, what we are creating is a virtual version of your subconscious. That's much more interesting. We're going to translate your dreams into a virtual state of being where you can immerse yourself in a virtual reality that is your dream. All those things, the Neuralink, everything, all these things seem to be leading to that idea of, hey, if you want to be part of this new thing, and this is further down the line. This is not next year, per se. I mean, it could be, I suppose, but I think this is still a few years away. Perhaps post-quantum computing standards, we shall see. But I think this whole thing is a scam. I think this is a scam. I mean, come on, man. You're transmitting words through earbuds. I don't know. If you're really going to do a dream transmission, no earbuds, no physical anything. There should only be virtual communication. I don't know, just some kind of virtual communication. Who knows? But the fact that they had to use earbuds for this says a lot. A lot of nonsense, I think. One more story.
You don't know what you're looking at.
What's driving that thing? It's not a space alien.
Aliens. It's unidentified. Aliens.
Where are the aliens?
We're made by the aliens.
We're made by the aliens. This is New York Post. NASA filmmaker claims evidence of alien life could be revealed within the next month. All right, here we go. Alien November? Alien December? Extraterrestrial November? I don't know. Nothing really rolls off the tongue there. A NASA filmmaker. Now, first of all, that already. I mean, come on. Are we who's a NASA filmmaker? Why does NASA need a filmmaker? Right? I thought they're a science thing. Okay, a NASA filmmaker has claimed, that telescopes on Earth have discovered evidence of intelligent alien life, and the announcement may come within the next month. Science filmmaker Simon Holland, who has worked on projects with the BBC, Nat Geo, and NASA, oh boy, that's not establishment or anything, told the Mirror last week that two groups of astronomers are vying to publish the first confirmed evidence of a possible extraterrestrial civilization. Quote, "We have found a non-human extraterrestrial intelligence in our galaxy, and people don't know about it," Holland said. Yes. If people don't know about it, I wonder why. I wonder why people don't know about it. Now, this guy looks like Tsoukalos, the alien guy, the ancient alien guy. It's like his dad or something. He's got the hair, got the crazy wild hair, but it's all gray. It seems like he's got some missing teeth or something. I don't know what's going on with this picture, but I don't know. He looks a little crazy. They made him look a little crazy. The filmmaker claims a contact within Mark Zuckerberg's Breakthrough Listen, a privately funded scientific research program aimed at finding evidence of civilizations beyond Earth, shared the information with him. Zuckerberg, alien.
Who should we tickle next? I am not a lizard.
I'm not a lizard, Mark Zuckerberg says that, or his company is part of this thing here. Quote, "They found the evidence of a non-human technological signature a few years ago using the Parkes telescope in Australia," he told the outlet. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought this was an old story, but as we read this, it just gets worse and worse here. Holland claims that the Oxford-based project astronomers have identified clear evidence of transmissions from another world and could announce the discovery within the next month. The groundbreaking claims require significant evidence, and astronomers are now racing to gather more supporting facts to reveal this discovery. Okay, now if you're looking for supporting facts, that's how you bend data. You look for supporting evidence to support your findings, your evidence. That's called it's bias. There's a certain type of bias. I'm forgetting the exact name of the bias. Confirmation bias. That's what it's called. Confirmation bias. When you have the conclusion already at hand, it's like when you have the outcome of a hypothesis that you want, and so you create the data to support that hypothesis. However, Holland shared that the Chinese may try to beat them to it. Oh, you got the Chinese. Fight the Chinese, you got to fight them. This is breaking news as of yesterday, but the Chinese might be piping them to the post with their FAST, this 500-meter aperture spherical telescope program. It's the largest telescope in the world since Arecibo, Holland told the Mirror. All right, so more stuff about Chinese stuff. The signal appeared from the region around Proxima Centauri, a star nearly 4.2 light years from Earth. And then there's an artist rendering of Proxima B, this alleged red dwarf star. And they talk about the $100 million telescope that found it. So here's the thing. So I wanted to see the data. Okay, what data are they really going to show to support this whole idea? Okay, here's what it says. The reason for locking in on the signal is that it appeared to be coming from one specific point as a narrow band. Quote, rather than a big buzz of hydrogen and other things that make sounds in the radio telescope spectrum, this was a small electromagnetic frequency, the filmmaker said, adding it was similar to, quote, the kind of frequencies we would use here on Earth for radio broadcasts, end quote. Holland shared the most significant clue that the signal appeared to be coming, or signal, sorry, it says signal, it's supposed to be signal, New York Post, fix your words, that the signal appeared to be coming from a, quote, planet orbiting a distant star and had a, quote, Doppler shift. Okay. Doppler effect, some of you guys may know what it is. And there's a graph here, and I think it goes to show the basic idea. Now, when you're looking allegedly far, far into space, allegedly again, you're getting these radio wave signals in your telescopes or whatever. They're reading that data. Now, sometimes, usually it's a consistent stream of data. Things aren't really moving. It's pretty normal. It's consistent. Now, every once in a while, there's a little glitch. It moves. It skips. It does something. And that little glitch, that little skip, that little whatever, alien civilization, folks. You guys heard it here first. Nobody knows about it. The alien civilization has been found. There was a little glitch in the data. The Doppler shift is the change in the frequency of a wave in relation to an observer who is moving relative to the source of the wave. As the Parkes telescope was tracking single and adjusting tracking signal. I think they did it again. I don't know why they keep saying, man, they really need, New York Post, you really need to get on your game, man. You guys misuse the word signal and single like this is the second time already. And adjusting for Earth's rotation to keep the single point source in its focus, the signal either increased or decreased. Holland shared that the planet it's coming from appears to be rotating, which he believes, quote, wouldn't come from a piece of human interference. The problem is the aliens weren't saying, hi, we're here, and aliens were just buzzing. Oh, wait. The problem is the aliens weren't saying, hi, we're here. The aliens were just buzzing. No comma makes it very hard to understand this sentence if that's what they're doing with their normal life, Holland believes. Holland, I'm sorry, you sound a little off there. Holland said he has contacted the principal investigator, Dr. Andrew Simeon from Berkeley, who runs the Breakthrough Listen Science program, and asked him if BLC-1 is a technological signature. Quote, he said, we're still very much looking at it when and if we get enough data to confirm that this single point source of a planet rotating in the narrow band electromagnetic frequency really is, we'll publish, Simeon allegedly told him. However, Holland stresses that whatever the source of BLC-1's signals, it's unlikely any new natural phenomenon. Okay, so we went from alien civilization to unlikely a natural phenomenon within this post here. Again, it feels like mainstream outlets like New York Post clickbaiting, click farming people that are still into this type of stuff or on the seat's edge with the disclosure of aliens. It does seem like a big psyop. Big psyop. Big psyop. There you go. That's all I had for today. I know again, it was one of these marathon episodes where I'm just blasting through stuff, but I hope you get something out of it. I really want to say thank you to all the producers during this time of being unable to thank you on the air properly. All the artists who have come in, all the people coming in with their treasure, people still working with their time, contributing with their time. We thank you so much. I appreciate you. And yeah, again, man, I really want to build something cool to give back to those folks who've given so much of their time, talent, and treasure to keep Canary Cry going. So look forward to that. Part of it will be to step into Web3. I know it's hard, but we'll do it together. We'll do it as a unit, and hopefully we can all take advantage of the upward trajectory for the time being before they crack it back down. So there you go. That's all I have for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We'll be back on Wednesday. That's the 16th. Yep, 16th of October. It's Dr. Johnny Bananas Awareness Day. Great. Look forward to that. I think Basil, I don't know where Basil will be, but we will once again try to go live with him. If not, it'll be another rant from me, and that's that. So there you go. Please share the show with friends and family. One thing we like to do here is to tell you to go to friends, family, coworker, whoever it may be, grab him by the cage and shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
Yep, there you go. Another one in the books. 782 episodes down. How many more? Only the Lord knows. Only the Lord knows. Oh, by the way, I mentioned eschatomics. I think it was an appropriate theme. I maybe should have made it to my emergent phenomenon, but I'm realizing that now. A little late, but it's okay. And sign up for a supply drop if you haven't already. There's some cool stuff coming for that. Oh, go check out Age of Deceit 4 on my X account, @FaceLikeTheSun. You might have to dig around for it a little bit with the censorship going on, but look for that. Look for Age of Deceit 4, Eschaton Cipher, and the Counterfeit Ledger of Life. I think people are being blessed by it. I think people are understanding that God has a ledger, much like we are creating with this blockchain technology, a ledger that records transactions immutably. And that's the world we're going into. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. God bless. And remember to think outside the cage.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
circle back, but I'll have to circle back, but I'll have to circle back, but I'll have to circle back. I'm happy to circle back. I'll have to just circle back with you. We can circle back on that one. Circle back with you. It's an interesting question, but we'll circle back.
I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look, the NRA, I was an NRA guy for a long time. They used to teach gun safety. So I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. The NRA guy won't teach guns safe. I've become friends with school shooters.
Let's invite some dudes over in fellowship tonight.
Canary Cry news talk, man, what's going on? Gotta turn it on, shows coming on live. VPN on when I'm going online. Anonymity, man, cryptocurrency. We got everything you need, get it 3 times a week. Jesus Christ the King, let the Holy Spirit speak. Battle in the cage, gotta set the captive free. Value for value, to me it's not free. Wish I had a longer streak, but this creativity. Go fulfill the 3 T's, that's time, treasure, talent. Get it right back, put it right back in balance. Not right or left, we not with the distractions. Catastrophes are the classic techniques, all attacks of the enemy. Getting defeated, underneath the feet of Jesus. Just believe us, media's trying to deceive ya. Gotta read between the lines till you see through the disguise. It's a slit reptilian eye sitting on top the pyramid. Got a myriad of topics, might be on a watch list. R.I.P. face like the sun, but you cannot stop this. Like the Lord's gonna come stop this beast system, and this infinite wisdom. Yeah, when the time is right, yeah, we're gonna take flight like a thief in the night. So I gotta get it right. I gotta repent and sit patient. Waiting for supply drop, Google eyes don't blink. Man, I need some eye drops. Google mind deep thinking for the AI thoughts. Yeah, Basil, guns. You know what's going on. Basil, guns. Canary Cry news talk, man, what's going on. Basil, guns. And you know what's going on. Basil. Canary Cry news talk, man, what's going on.
Let's invite some dudes over in fellowship tonight.
Value for value. We take no money from corporations, commies, or cartels.
Canary Cry, Dr. Poe.